here we are. We got Greed. We got Adam. There's a guy missing.
Because without one, you're gonna get the other.
You're
It's a twofer.
You're going to get the other. Without the main co-host, the Hydra heads start popping up.
We're done. Condoned.
You also get the Discord call screen for this episode. So that's how you know it's
Yeah, because
that's how
this
you know,
book is apparently so cursed, it scared Kyle off.
That's how you know it's me recording. Let me just tone you down just a little bit. Get you right there.
You guys need
Yes.
You need images. Hold on. I can start sending screenshots.
Yeah, who cares about the images? It's just.
It's autumn people. We're not going to need much. These are the same people that are incapable of visualizing an apple in their head.
You guys.
These are the people that they hate.
You all read along at home. You definitely got a copy of that. You 100% got through legal means. 100%. There's definitely money still going around in TTRPGs. It's not like all this shit gets pirated anyway.
I totally have a copy of the book and I'm reading it right now.
Yes.
I'm not doing anything, like rooting through a dumpster.
Anyway.
So
anyway, let us be on with it. And I am ready as a psychical and as the only person on this server that stands with changing the dream.
We ran two different games. I ran a Wraith the Oblivion game, and you ran a Changing game with the same group. The players stuck with my Wraith game beginning to end, but by session 4 of your Changing game, I was the only player that showed up. And
yep.
Average Changeling experience.
I feel like that stands for something where Changing and Dreaming is a game that interests a lot of people. A lot of people look at this game and say, what's going on? They think it's D&D adjacent. And then you play it, and then you start reading these books, and then you find out that, no, it's not even close to what you thought it was going to be. And I feel
Don't
like,
worry, that's their goal of changing Changeling for 6th edition of the World of Darkness.
Oh, it ain't going to happen. It's never going to happen.
They literally said, as a part of their development program, the next one is going to be Changeling Mage in Vampire Dark Ages. I wonder why. I wonder why.
And it's definitely going to turn a profit. It's definitely not going to be written by AI. It's definitely not going to have stolen artwork in it, and everyone's going to get the credit they deserve.
It might, because guess who's running the project? A former Wizards of the Coast employee.
Exactly, and a Brazilian is the lead developer. When it comes to what
no, you're joking. This can't be Wizards of the Coast. They got to stop that immediately.
Exactly. So
they also have old OSR guys involved too. It is going to be so incorrect.
It's. I'm gonna bring that up later in the episode because that's part of the Autumn People biz, but.
Yeah, we're inflicting banality just by talking about it. It's pretty great.
World of Darkness is in a terrible position right now, and I'm not happy about it, and neither are a lot of people.
Hashtag sell World of Darkness.
I mean, there's a reason why Lore by Night quit, and I can no longer blame Lore by Night for doing that. And
no longer? You blamed him?
Well, it's not him anymore, it's them, but yeah, it's when I start looking at everything going on with this development team and just, Renegade wants to be shitty. They want you to completely kowtow, bow, and kiss the foot of their development team. Fucking Outstar was fine with it. Bro, Alpha Buster was fine with it. I'm not, and I never will be. I
wasn't a real big fan of their weird push to make Greta Thunberg a character. They kept doing that. I don't know why.
Well, that's already a thing with Tyler, and that she literally looks like her and everything. They predicted her. It was a lot of foresight went to World of Darkness, Okay, we gotta explain what this book is. This is your Freak Legion when it comes to Changing and Dreaming. This is what.
Oh God! This was an attempt at Freak Legion.
No, this is what it's supposed to be, but.
No.
What I mean by that is that Freak Legion was your monster manual when it came to werewolf. That's what I mean by that. This is your monster manual when it comes to Changing.
Yes.
And same with Book of Madness being one Tamashi Ascension, and I don't think Vampire No, Hunters Hunted, that's what it was.
Hunters Hunted was the closest, even though that's not the direction they went with when they did Reckoning.
No.
5th.
We'll say this here.
We're trying to talk about everything but this book.
Reckoning was key now, though.
No. I know there's one note here. I've read Hunters Hunted 20th and Hunters Hunted 5th. I mean, Hunters Hunted 1st, because those were the only two that existed, and Hunters Hunted 1st was fucking it.
Well, it was also Hunter Hunted 2nd, which had the Youngbloods in it. But going into what this is what I mean by I say Changeling to Dreaming, when people tell you about this game, you are being sold a bill of goods when you go into Changeling to Dreaming. Because while a lot of people look at, when it comes to character creation, whenever someone asks me about Changeling to Dreaming, whenever it comes to making a Changeling to Dreaming game, a lot of people will look into character creation first and foremost, see these stats, and then will immediately lock onto glamours and cantrips. And they'll start looking through this whole system and realize that you can become an OP murder machine that can just not get hit or take any damage at character creation. It's the most broken system that they ever made, more so than Demon the Fallen. Demon the Fallen's powers were OP, but the cost was expensive to use your powers in Demon the Fallen. Changeling, there's next to no cost. Especially if you're in the Dreaming and you just go unleash.
But I'll say one thing here. If you truly get
Agree,
broken,
be like, I'll say one thing here.
No, I'll be like one thing here. Let me finish my damn statement, you fucking bitch.
Say the statement already.
If you truly want broken, let me fucking finish. If you truly want broken shit, there is a treasure called the Scabbard of fucking Excalibur. That thing makes you immune to all forms of lethal and aggravated damage. I am not joking. You can't take aggravated or lethal damage while you have that scabbard.
It's like the emblems in Orpheus. It's just power
Vampire players can't stop winning because they're forced to actually throttle their bullshit. I find it interesting that the moment they get a vampire, they're like, hey, how hard can we power game? How hard can we accelerate this upward? And you actually see this most in Exalted, where it's like, hey, what happens if we combine all of the levels of play that we've self-inflicted? Oh no.
And that's the shit you got coming away.
Level artifact, by the way. 4th level treasure, not even 5. That's a 4th level treasure.
Keep in mind that you can also do like 76 damage in that version of Werewolf. Have fun.
And
through some extreme mid-maxing.
And the point with this being the monster manual and this being the bill of goods is that when it comes to the Autumn people, let me just switch screens for a minute because I realized that I do not have my insurance policy loaded. See here. Let's just show it.
+1. I forget what's the opposite.
Look at that black screen, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this riveting video. All right, let me just go ahead, click that, click join, click this, get you joined in.
Now recording.
And it says that. Okay, now we're good to continue. All right. So with that, hooray! That's what the dashboard looks like. Go back into this.
I don't like it. It's your first persona. Get your first persona off the screen.
So
this is disturbing.
So what is that Autumn People is supposed to be this game's monster manual, but instead of you looking at the Changeling, the Dreaming cantrips, and you're thinking to yourself, you're going to be fighting other Changelings, you're going to be fighting the Chimera, you're going to be fighting these imaginary friends that have gone rogue and are now trying to kill you. That's not what this game is, and that's not what this game was ever supposed to really be. Because
Wait, so this isn't taking on the unseelie courts that they kept referencing?
Well, no. You don't even fight the Shadow Court in this fucking game. Instead, what you go up against in Changeling to Dreaming is just the guy who's selling you coffee at Starbucks. The guy who is checking for security at the airport. The guy who is sweeping the street. That's what you're up against in Changeling to Dreaming.
No, I mean, technically you are fighting the Shadow Court because you're also fighting Faye that went wrong.
That's the Thalane, but
that's the direction they chose to go with?
No, the fucking Thalane...
No, that's not the Thalane.
The Thalane never come up. The Thalane never come up. Like, when it comes to the meta plot of Changeling to Dreaming, they had no participation whatsoever in the Accordance War, and then when it came to Times of Judgment, the Thalane don't come up in that book once. Instead, the Fomorians return that book. So Thalane are just there. They're just there.
So this is your villain. You're the Changeling on the right, and these are the people that you have to fight. There you go. I think I covered what Autumn people are just in this one image.
What was this picture?
No.
Just color that one. That's suffering from high banality, but I think that's a pretty fitting example.
No, I'll get to them when we get them.
And that's what I mean with Changeling to Dreaming. You're told that it's supposed to be this high fantasy kind of game, but it turns out no. The enemy of the game is just boredom made manifest in a form of banality. And the moment I tell people that involving Changeling, everyone loses interest in that. The Changeling game that we mentioned before, Greed ran Changeling to Dreaming as it was intended, with the enemy being banality. And once again, I make no exaggeration, I was the only player who didn't ghost. And it was the same people that were playing Wraith and still played Wraith beginning to end. But
you don't understand.
Yeah.
When you have to fight the equivalent of Ben Stein,
because
I'm here to ruin creativity. Bueller.
Because that surprised me. Because I thought Rap Raid would be down for Changeling, but no, he was the first one to go. And then I think like Mike Lawson and Dance just straight up said to your face they had no interest in playing Changeling and Dreaming. And
because
then
it's just
and
such a lost idea.
And then
what?
The more that Kyle learned about this, the more that he began to realize that the Autumn people were the main antagonist of Changeling and Dreaming. He just lost interest in this game altogether after he heard that.
You just told me what that is, and I already hate it.
And
I
feel like that Changeling and Dreaming from its inception was just a bad idea because we had been told about what the true fate were for years and years, ever since 1992 with Vampire the Masquerade. And there was this big built-up idea that was mentioned with the Malkavians, or mentioned with the Gangrel. You had this big...
Kiosets especially came out because of that.
This tie-in with the Fianna, and then the game came out, and it was not what anyone was expecting.
Well, it seems like it may be at first, and then all of a sudden, your villain is your 5th grade language instructions professor who just happened to want to destroy any desire to create novels because he himself is a failed author. That's your villain.
The whole thing with this, Wraith the Oblivion got concluded. Every book that was going to be made for Wraith the Oblivion got made, released, published, and distributed. And that includes Orpheus. Changeling the Dreaming was straight abandoned to the point where the Boggins book was never written. It was never finished.
That should tell you about how... Remember, White Wolf willingly went bankrupt to push Wraith.
Yes. And Wraith...
That's how bad they knew they fucked up.
Because Wraith, I will stand by it. I will say that Wraith is interesting. It is a good game, but it is such a bleak premise. It is so hard to get people to play it.
It's also just a pain in the ass. It's like Black Crusade, because you have to intrinsically, if you're playing it as intended, it is not the storyteller that plays your shadows.
It's the players.
It is other players.
And that can rub people the wrong way in the worst way possible.
I straight up wouldn't tolerate it. I can tolerate an ST fucking me over. I cannot tolerate a player doing that to me.
It's better when it's in the ST's hands by a mile. And now going into what your enemies are supposed to be in Changeling and Dreaming. There's Adam, I'm sure you're going to go over this more in detail with Dice Scum. I'm looking at the first chapter, Watching at the Window, which is a testimony that Apuka gives about witnessing banality firsthand, and it's just a point of view from a unnamed character that we will never see again. And anytime these popped up in
Werewolf
Vampire...
20th writer? Did they get a Werewolf the Forsaken writer for this?
There's
2 writers, though.
Anytime this popped up in Mage, I just stopped reading it because it's like highly opinionated stuff that doesn't really have anything to do with thing. Okay, so that explains it by a massive mile. So this was written by Brian Campbell, the same guy who made the worst book in Werewolf, Shadowlord 2nd edition.
Oh.
Okay,
that definitely does explain a couple things.
Okay, and the other writer is Deirdre Brooks, who I am not familiar with at all. Let's see.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was her first and only book.
Let's see here. To the point where she got a pen name. She's Elizabeth Brooks, but she got her pen name as Deirdre M. Brooks, and she wrote Adventure with the capital with an exclamation point. I've never... Okay, that's an obscure Bible property we're going to get to. She wrote Aberrant. She wrote Clan Book Ravdos Revival. Oh, okay.
That explains everything. You don't have to expand anything
Okay,
from there.
so you brought in the 2 writers that took what was the most interesting vampire clan and the most interesting werewolf tribe and completely destroyed the lore to both of them to write this book.
Well, I mean, I can already tell this is going to be destroyed because the image of the changelings just staring through the window, just making faces at people watching TV.
That's what I mean with Changing the Dreaming, as it turns out you're not on a high fantasy adventure like Exalted promised. You're instead playing a game where growing up and being an adult sucks. That's the game.
You know the dumbest thing is? These people eventually would then start borrowing heavily from media. So, like, they're criticizing media, But how many fucking times did they make characters based on media and throughout the World of Darkness?
I mean,
Quite a bit.
there's a pre-made Lasumber who is literally just Del Gribble. He's just
And
Del
then
Gribble.
there's also the hit marks, which are literally Terminators.
Yes.
Go fuck yourself.
When it comes to this, when I say before, and I've said multiple times, that White Wolf was a very disjointed company that did not talk with itself at all. This is what I mean. Because Changeling Dreaming has more snarls with the World of Darkness than fucking Demon of Fallen does.
That's saying a lot, because Demon was kind of their, well, we're about to go bankrupt. Might as well explain the cosmology.
Because you can at least explain that the Wild, the Weaver, and the Worm were angels that rose to power, and you can explain it like that, and it doesn't really devalue Gaia either. And there is a way you can incorporate Demon into.
I think it takes a hammer to the meta plot as hard as the 5th edition did.
It does. It does. It's a lot of hard no's and a lot of hard answers that nobody really wanted to hear when it came to Demon of Fallen. But there's a way you can compromise with it.
Or in my case, as an ST, I roll 0 it and say, I don't care what you write.
So we're going right into chapter 2 with this, where it's going into explaining.
Yeah, because this entire chapter's worthless. That's impressive.
It's going to explain winter, the eternal winter. Greed, if you remember what that's supposed to be. It is apocalypse.
Oh, I thought that was the Resplendent Crane's term, because the Resplendent Crane's entire thing is ice, right?
Well, yeah, they said that too. It's
No. The big thing to summarize it, winter is basically the death of everything innovation and creative. Actually, the winter would be the death of a part of the wild itself. Actually, hold the fuck on.
Where creativity ceases to be
which
a thing.
Which is a bad take. That's a terrible take, because the entire, if you're going to phrase it in terms of season, winter is not the end, it is the low point and then renewal.
But there's no go.
Yeah,
not
which is
renewal.
brought up in the book a little bit here. No, because it's brought up in the book in the bit here. It said here, winter will pass and creativity will flow again. Some changes view it as a season type of thing.
After Gehenna, after Apocalypse, after Mass Ascension.
I will also say this.
Yes.
The stasis thing, you know what this is actually giving me an idea that they should have done instead of the Autumn People.
Tell me.
The big twist is you think it's the Unseelies that are their threat? No, they are actively going to death war with the technocracy, specifically because of their control over
And you
consensus.
would think that. You would think it would go in that direction. Because I swear to you, the secret antagonist of Changeling Dreaming is the Weaver.
It really should be.
It makes sense. You're fighting the same war as the Garou, you just don't know it. But it's...
Also, straight up, in Exalted, that is legitimately why they hate humanity, because they built these pillars that are effectively Weaver columns that keep the world stable.
And when it comes to what winter's supposed to be, that's the complete end of creation. It's... You know what I mean, the two of you, when I say post-scarcity. That's what it's supposed to be.
Luxury gay space communism, but without any of the interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be, we're done inventing everything. We've made all we're going to make. We know how to feed everybody. We know how to make a perfect system for government, economics, and we're never going to really struggle for anything ever again. It's going to be a world that's going to be so good, we won't really know how good we have it. Our generation that's born into it won't even know. And... then that's it. Life will just be like that for seemingly ever until the system fails and implodes. But if it doesn't implode, then it just keeps going on like this, and then there's nothing really left to do besides exist.
Well, the problem is, I think that ignores the issue that humanity seems to have, which is it thrives on conflict because it sees... One of the problems with Sapience is it's problem solving, and if there's no problems to solve, the brain eats itself.
That's what I mean. I think it was Socrates or Plato that said if mankind was given a perfect system, the first thing he would do would be destroy it. First thing.
No, it's actually this calling here. Someone made an analogy in some fiction novels, and I quite like this because it's very true. When everything humanity keeps solving its bigger and bigger problems, we will find the most minute things to fight over. Because we must have conflict, we must have something to strive against.
It's still keeping your human nature in a paradise. Where I remember something that it's a little bit stupid for me to say, like a cartoon got me thinking this, but I remember I saw All Dogs Go to Heaven 2, and I took it way too seriously when I saw it the first time.
Oh, the direct-to-video one.
Where the idea of it's too heavenly here, where would I want to go to heaven? Was something I started asking myself, and I'm thinking if I am the way I am, then no. If I wouldn't want that, but that's the whole thing. That's why the Tower of Babel had to collapse to begin with. If you go to a place where there is no pain and suffering, while you are a being that thrives off of and finds satisfaction through pain and suffering, you cannot exist there. That's why the nature of heaven itself, as you're described in theology, is a place where that part of you is erased upon you entering. You go in there, no body, no mind, it's just the soul that enters. And it doesn't need those things, and then you become capable of enjoying paradise. So,
holy shit! Wait, you actually read the full part of the Bible where heaven itself actually isn't described what people think as heaven. It's actually just a waiting room.
Yeah, I feel like it's genuinely damaging to tell children that heaven is this eternal expanse of clouds with people with wings and everything's gold. It puts an image in your mind that I feel like you take too literally as you get older, and it sours your idea of religion altogether. That's not what this is supposed to be.
It can.
Yeah.
Another example of why having no strife. I always love the Twilight Zone episode where the guy thinks he goes to heaven and everything comes up for him.
Yes.
And he goes, well, there's no point. Like every time I file one of these casino slot machines, I always win. Where's the risk? Where's the danger? Well, there's none of that. Oh man, this heaven stuff blows. Take me down to the other place. What made you think we ever were in heaven, sir?
That's what I mean. It's the reason why with Wraith the Oblivion why it works, because you're so attached to the world around you that you can't transcend. You drag your soul down with you into death, and then you're stuck in the Shadowlands. It's
at least until you properly resolve your fetters and move on.
That's why when it comes to Buddhism, you have the 3 deadly poisons instead. It's ignorance, aversion, and attachment. The more attached you are to the world around you, the more you're going to shy away from the idea of transcendence.
That might be why you like the Quajan books so much. Although, then again, the Quajan books are great. It's just mechanically they're a mess.
The Quajan is fucking Kino.
Oh yeah, like we covered all the Dharma books basically.
I'll be honest here. Despite what, no, yeah, and I must say this. I know this isn't the Quajan episode, but no, most turns out actually the Quajan books were written well, and it's just a bunch of dipshit people that want to virtue signal that say they're awful.
That's why I mean. There's nothing wrong with Quajan. There's nothing wrong.
I'm pleasantly surprised at how accurate, well, relatively accurate, because this is late '90s White Wolf. Like these are people that maybe visited China or Japan once or twice. Like they did really well with '90s era research.
Mm-hmm. It's the best it was going to get, and even the Quajan books opened with, "Hey, we are talking out of our asses here. We don't know everything. Just enjoy the game." Don't
Which, hey, that's a hell of a lot better than the Kitsune from Henge Yokai.
Yeah, guy has chosen people. Am I right?
Yeah.
And nobody.
You know what? I'm fuck it.
Nope.
You know this book is good when we're not talking about it. It's almost like this was a horrible idea or something.
Well, when it comes to the approaching winter, there's an idea amongst some of these fairies that we'll get into more detail with, that winter is not supposed to be this end time. It's sure you're going to come up short with glamour, but the reason why winter is approaching is that we've already said it multiple times with Changeling Dreamings episodes. I'm not going to reiterate the whole story all over again. But humanity, when it learned it could craft and it could work with the hardest material to ever work with, iron, and started making things of permanence with it, then the changelings began to realize that they were no longer needed. That humanity was getting to a point where it could sustain itself. Some of the changelings fought back against that as the Unsteady Court, and that provoked humanity to start fighting and taking up arms against the changelings that eventually did lead to Desundering and Shattering, where now the Fae become the enemy, where the Unsteady Court still yearns for a connection with humanity. Meanwhile, the Unsteady Court wants to lord over and take revenge on humanity for forsaking them. And then there's the Shadow Court, which is a group of nihilists that want to see the destruction of everything. And those would be the Thalai.
Yeah, and the Shadow Court are some pure fucking nihilistic. Like, legitimately, they rival the Nefandi in their vileness.
Oh yeah,
they're basically the people who think that everything peaked in the '90s. Everything was better in the '90s. You don't know. You don't remember.
It's essentially a mass shooter if they had their hands on these powers.
Is this the mass shooter?
Yeah. And the book doesn't even try to hide
Is
it.
this
The
the
book
mass
doesn't even try to hide they are mass shooters.
You posted a meme.
They don't even try
You
to hide that.
posted it. No, Pluto Nash is not the shooter. Nope.
But I just want to bring this back up because the fairies that believe the winter was going to pass were correct in the fact because if we go by the cosmological world of darkness, the red sun, the red star appears, and all hell breaks loose. In that hell breaks loose, humans realize they're supernatural creatures. And yes, there'll be a lot of nightmares, but humanity will accept there's magic in the world again, and boom, it's gonna be summer again.
And then what happens is they completely ignore the Week of Nightmares and the Red Sun and don't fucking follow through on any of it.
Yeah. All this foreshadowing goes nowhere, but
don't bring up Fifth Edition.
But
bring up Fifth Edition.
But in the Quay.
No, this is also in 20th.
Well,
they completely tossed it out.
And with the Quaijin, it's just the arrival of the Seventh Age, and then the whole cycle begins all over again.
Also, there's an entire section in Autumn People because this is another thing I think that pisses people off of Changeling. They have to constantly remind people every time, we went to the moon, it brought people magical happiness. By this logic, in the 80s, people who are watching like fucking action figure commercials, that's like an error of hope, isn't it? Because you got these coked up executives that are like, fuck yeah, okay, so I got a great idea. So I'm gonna take this random toy that I stole from a fucking vendor in Japan, and we're gonna combine it with this other, and it's called Transformers, that we could sell. Those horse dolls? We can sell the horse dolls. We'll make a TV show out of it.
It'll be a brilliant idea. I'll just print money. Just print money that way.
I don't know why Vince McMahon was presenting this in the newsroom, but he was.
I'm telling you, he had an eye for business in a lot of ways. But the idea behind these phase that when winter comes around, instead of the changelings teaching humanity, it'll be humanity teaching the changelings. And I say this because when we do get around to doing another Times of Judgment episode, that does come up in Changing and Dreaming's Times of Judgment, where it's called Pick Your Poison, where we reach that post-scarcity world, humanity has developed as much as they can, and then the Changelings have to reinvent themselves in order to continue to exist. That or they just fade off existence entirely. And when it comes to banality as a mechanic, I think if you're watching this video, you already really know what this mechanic is. Banality is the reverse of glamour, where glamour is believing that there's whimsy, wonder, and stuff to invent in the world. Banality is just believing that nothing will ever change, and that's just the way that things are forever. It's not necessarily technology-based. I feel like Changeling 20th got that idea completely fucking wrong, because there are sections of Changeling to Dreaming 20th edition that's just... the light bulb is scary, and Thomas Edison was a witch. And
that's on par with the... They fixed the Lasombra. They fixed the glitch among the Lasombra by giving them the glitch bane.
The glitch bane, exactly.
I'm not even kidding. So here's the thing: if you like playing Lasombra, have fun in 6th edition. Anything more complicated than a pulley or a lock, like a mechanical lock, your shadow powers just.
That's strongest claim in the game now.
No, that's actually far worse than you can't have a reflection. That's
the reason why V gets rid of. That's the reason why V gets rid of all the crimes he does in Cyberpunk 2077. Those are the bugs.
He's not Lasombra. He's not there right now.
He is Lasombra. He is. He's a ruthless bastard.
The entire thing is there's an easy fix you could have done if you want the Bane to be worse. Just have the shadow move when people look at it sometimes.
It flips you off, gives you the bird.
Yeah, just have it do that. Just like have the shadow just be obviously like distorted or something.
With banality as a mechanic, you might be thinking, Greed, well, we had glamour infused Chimera, where Chimera are basically imaginary friends. They just go around at someone that, if you have glamour, you can see this. If you have a banality score of 1, you can see it. And it's
I'm envisioning Big Bird as a changeling, and he has this chimera stance.
Or is that you remember the show Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? Exactly that. Fucking.
Oh shit, that would be an interesting changing campaign.
Yeah, fucking.
Another one would be Chalk Zone.
Fucking. Well, yes, thank you for saying that. Like fucking. Fairly Odd Parents.
The character from what's the Pixar movie with the emotions? They have the character there.
That fucking 90s VHS I saw when I was in school, where it was like the little man that got drawn by the kid and it came to life and he gave him life lessons. Was his name like Mickey or something, like Vinny?
I think the point is here, everyone here across the internet, they written the book wrong. But if you couldn't tell who our brief conversation is, you could have done it so much well. And if you didn't do growing up sucks,
Yeah,
you could have handled this if you did not do that thing.
The thing should have been, humanity needs to dream. One of your missions is to make sure people keep dreaming.
And you went down that road instead, and instead you got the fucking banal imaginary friend that takes away your imagination when it comes across you.
When in reality it should have been like the big threat is the Unseelie Court, because they want to essentially break the human psyche by inflicting only nightmares.
Yeah, that would have worked. If the Thaling would have been
banality is a threat. Like, it is a threat, and the technocracy is your secondary antagonist, but that's just more because they get people to stop believing. It makes them incurious.
If this game went down the same route that Nights into Dreams went down, I'd be so much more satisfied with Changeling. If you went down that direction.
You tried to run a game, and by session 4, you were the only one left. By the way, there's beautiful art in here. I love this imaginary critter.
Stop bringing this up. The point is here, Johnny was about to say your chimera can get banality too, and they aren't pretty.
Yeah, just imagine like a fucking schlub that you think of. Like, it's the Post-it notes monster. It's the water cooler that's always empty. It's your boss at work made manifest in your dreams, and it's just this schlubby monster that just goes around, instead of inspiring you when you come across it on accident, instead gives you banality on contact with. And it's this super poisonous monster to fight in game, because just approaching it starts giving you temporary banality, which is your slow acting poison that will eventually, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, kill your character and change into dreaming.
One of the magical things about Changeling is this is where the multiple fail states came in, because if you go too far into glamour, you go into La La Land,
you go into Bedlam,
non-functional.
And then,
or if you don't, you just become essentially a soulless automaton.
That's banality, where it's anything involving banality, to like redefine what banality is. It's not technology based. It does one thing, it can only ever do one thing, and it can only ever be one thing. That's what banality is. It's
like in SpongeBob, the cardboard box. Squidward has the banality issue, so he only sees it as the box. While SpongeBob and Patrick are using it for all these adventures.
And you can use it for that, and that's where glamour comes from it. But no, it's denying that the box can be that, denying that it can be anything else besides just a box, and that's what generates banality. It's
banality can form its own chimeras, like it's written in the book. The ice worm,
where you take an oven, for example, Greed, where an oven itself, like, what does it do? It does the one thing, it gets hot, and that's really all it can do. But you can do things with the oven. You can put food inside of it, and then it becomes other food. It becomes cookies. It becomes a cake. It becomes a casserole, and you can use it for celebration, where I made something with this oven, and I'm going around and I'm sharing it with everybody else, and everybody's happy. But then you have a guy who's banal, who's an odd person, who only ever eats one thing with that oven for his meal every day. He eats the same thing with it every day. It's the same kind of ingredients.
To reheat up chicken nuggets.
It's all it is. Like, he just has a bag of chicken nuggets that he bought from Walmart. They pulled out onto a pan, put in the oven, put on broil, and then just brought out and then ate those. That would be banality coming from the oven. It's how you use it. Where with an airport, the reason why it is actual mechanical suicide to go into an airport in this game. The airport can only be one thing. The plane goes in, the plane goes out. There's a guy directing traffic to it, and that's it. That's all an airport can be. The airport can't be anything else. If you try to make it anything else, security will have something to say to you about it.
I'm just envisioning a changeling trying to...
I would be correct. No, I would be correct in the analogy of the airport being a major source of banality, but let's be honest here. Airports are also chaotic as hell. They're basically, in my opinion, they're either 100% banality or they're 100% glamour.
Yeah, nobody likes
there's no glamour unless you decide to piss off the TSA. Do you expect me to talk, Blowfield? No, I expect you to die. Sir, we just want to figure out what's in your bag. You can't hold me in this prison!
You fucking spaz out in the middle of TSA.
I mean, you could. I can envision a fae close to Bedlam entering that.
No. I find that like an immediate way to avoid dying to banality. Oh shit, my character has that 8 banality. I start tweaking. Wait, what? I start tweaking to the fucking.
I start throwing a fit in an airport, so you get tasered.
It's also, what also classifies as banal. It's not necessarily this, because the one thing, one purpose, one thing that it defines banality.
I'm just envisioning you then start enacting Man in the Iron Mask by yanking the toilet seat off and using it as your mask when you're in the jail, when you're in the county jail after the airport.
But when you go into a place that's highly banal, these tend to also be places that nobody wants to go to. Nobody really wants to get on a plane, even though it's the safest form of travel. Nobody really wants to go to the DMV to get their license renewed. Nobody wants to go to a courthouse and pay off a parking ticket. Nobody wants to do it, but you have to do it. And Changelings hate that society has been built around stuff where it's stuff that no one wants to do, but that's something that you have to do. And that's something that I'm kind of mixed on, because there's two schools of thought. You can go futurist with it and say, well, my life is now so heavily dependent on the car that if I do not have the car, I'm at a severe disadvantage. And the other half is, it's the story of the ant and the grasshopper, where you just want to play all damn day, wherein no, there's responsibility that has to be taken up in the real world for society to fucking function. We can't live in a place that's just play all the damn time. Somebody has to take responsibility and maintain this.
And that's kind of where the youngling and grump comes from. Like, it's that kind of argument on that, I think, that kind of works.
It is, but I hate that Changeling just tries to portray basic adult responsibility as a poison. It's
like, yeah, you have to I would say you should probably eat a banality to deal with the DMV, but actually, here's the thing. You have to wait there, right?
Yes.
Does it necessarily cause banality if you just imagine other things? Because you can do that. Like, if they take a while, you can just come up with your own ideas, or you can just read.
Well,
there's ways to counter that.
Well, that's where the on people come in, because if somebody else is in a DMV and is miserable, that poison eventually rubs off onto you.
Which is fair, but I wouldn't make an entire monster manual about it.
It's the same as being in a fast food kitchen and you turn the ventilator off. You can stay in that
wouldn't
kitchen.
You just instantly hit banality 10 if you go to like a McDonald's just because of the misery in there?
Oh yes, it's not in this book, but the way that people run Changeling, going to McDonald's, going to Starbucks, kills you in this game.
I'm just imagining, like, you get this I forget I think it's youngling or whatever. You're just going in, skipping to get a Happy Meal toy, and then you come out, like, banality 8 as a grump. Like, you magically age 50 years. You gain
the meat's 3D printed, the cheese is just solid oil, and that's it.
And you just have this pained smile with this shitty Happy Meal toy because it's not even as good as you thought it was on the promo. So you're just like very close to losing your mind.
McDonald's just sucks now too. Like, it's just beige and gray when you go inside McDonald's now. There used to be
beige, gray, like one tiny burger for $50.
There used to be like red inside of it, checkers. They had like a whole like Japanese shtick going on for a little while with their interior design.
Yeah, and the red is specifically to invite eating and warmth.
But
they also used to have like old cars like as part of their decor because they went with Americana for a bit.
And there's a McDonald's I go to regularly just to get a coffee, because McCafe actually is still pretty good. I still get their coffee, so I still fuck with that. But the playground sucks at McDonald's. It's so drab looking. I remember there was a McDonald's Play Place one that was whole like UFO themed, and you could go inside the UFO, you could climb up the rope ladder and be inside of it. It was cool. It had like a small rope ladder you climbed up into the slide, and now it's just geometric shapes. Like, one of them is purple, one of them is orange, and then everything else is just like gray and black, and then that's it. That's your fucking playground now.
Well, I can tell you why they're that way. Do you want to see what their current base looks like? Their current headquarters?
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?
It literally looks like an AI generated building because there is no soul in it
I hate
whatsoever.
modern architecture so damn much.
That's the consequences of moving to Chicago and thinking that Chicago prices are fair for anywhere.
Okay, here's the lesson for everybody: do not live in Chicago. If you're in Chicago, get out of it.
Why do you think Chicago by night is such a disappointment?
Yeah.
I love it, but like, yeah, it is not a very stable city to play in at all. Like, the smallest thing will just make it explode if you play it as the story tenders and it want you to.
See, the banal chimera that we mentioned before, the soul suckers, the imaginary friends, there's two different types. The first one that we described is called the malicious, which is just a banal creature that goes around to just ruin your life from your mind inside out. The other one is called the abandoned, that used to be fun, glamour-filled changelings, but now they're just pessimistic beings that the only reason why they're banal at all is that if you forget about your imaginary friend in this game will come back for you for revenge. That's a mechanic in this game. And that is where
that sounds like an interesting plot point for like a Mortals campaign.
And that's what we get with the Abandoned Chimera, where Celadir is the example that we get, who is a playmate of Princess Magdalene from House Ilund, who is this weird fucking jester mask with snakes come out of its eyes, like a frog monster come out of its back, little like creepy baby hands, and its feet are noodles, and it's a thing that chases after you and kills you.
Well, I think it's supposed to look like the skeleton thing now.
Yeah, it's weird and it's gross, and this thing comes after you. This is the people that make Playtime Poppy. I think this is what they think they're making when they make their shit. But no, if this thing came after you, it was just looked surreal like that. That'll be a more interesting children's horror game.
Yeah, hold on. Let me grab the image of it and post it real quick so you can show it.
It's really good.
The fucking freakazoid.
I will say that here's the funny thing: even though they completely dropped the ball with the story and with the mechanics, visually the books are fantastic.
Because
Changeling has a fantastic art.
When it's not trying to be Christopher Hart's big book of everything manga like it was with the issue book, it's pretty good. It can be very good at times. You also get actual stats for the fading, where it says, you want to know what happens when your banality score gets above your glamour score? Well, every time you leave your Fey Min, you get a point up temporary banality. That's just unavoidable. You then have to roll your glamour score against your banality score in difficulty. No, you roll willpower for that. And then if you succeed, if you roll a success, you go back into your Fey form if you wish to transform again. Once your banality gets higher than your glamour, then you start suffering side effects like forgetting what you did in a previous session. If it gets above your glamour and willpower, you'll start forgetting the events of the entire chronicle. By the time it reaches banality 10, you irrevocably lose your changeling soul, and you just go back to being a Joe Schmo all over again. That's your fate.
So what you're saying is that...
Well,
so what you're saying is that it's not a saga about growing up. This is just they
nice
reread
screenshot.
the Emperor Joker plotline, where the big reveal is what would happen if there's no Batman, and Joker was just a guy. He just had banality 10. He's actually a changeling all along.
When there's no
that's one of the things I do like about the Joker that is consistent. If there's no thing to match him, he just basically turns into a normal guy.
He just becomes Joe Carr. And just goes about his day.
Joe Kerr. That's one of his iterations. There's also Jack Napier. That's another one. There's a couple of other ones.
But skipping through, getting over to more of the meat of this book, I'm skipping through as much fluff as we can.
These are just, it's clear they had a cool idea. They have cool ideas for monsters, and then they just kind of verbal diarrhea.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna get the image for. I'm gonna get the image for this one, the ice worm. I like this one too. The image of this one's
how about you crop this image before you send it to me? But
fine.
Now we go into talking about the Autumn People. We can finally talk about the main subject of this almost an hour in.
Autism destroys fairies, and also you're more easily possessed by demons, apparently.
Yeah,
there are autism mechanics in this game.
Dan, do you...
Joker.
When it comes to us talking about changing and dreaming, you remember when we talked about this game with Dan the first time, or Dan had no idea what changing and dreaming was when he first went into it, and we started describing what the other people were, and then Dan got genuinely pissed off by saying we're describing like low functioning socially autistic people when we talked about odd people, and and we looked at it and we said, well, yeah, there's your ice room right there, boom. Oh, whoop, zoomed in a little too close. It's that, but no, I disagree with it being like a whole take of autism. I think you could see it that way, but it's more. I had a conversation with Fox Kitty, friend of the show, Fox Kitty, our Russian friend, who I remember it was a conversation about we were trying to define an NPC by terms when it comes to people. And the answer that he gave me was, it's somebody who can only ever talk about one thing, namely politics, and then if you try talking with them about anything else, you just get non-answers or small talk at best. And that,
like a drone.
Yeah.
Oh, the quartering. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. But isn't he also autistic, so it kind of still fits? So isn't Dan still right?
It kind of does, yeah. Where it's an odd person.
How's your weekend?
An odd person, by how they define it, is that it's the guy who eats the same breakfast every day, works a job that isn't really that special, like it's like blue collar shit or like a white collar office job that's soul sucking. He works at a grocery store that he doesn't like, or it's like a restaurant job that he really wishes he could quit, but he never will because he just doesn't have the stones to. He takes the same way to work every day, talks to the same people, does the same thing, just every day. It's just the same. He can't tell what he did from June from what he did in November. And then he goes home and does the same routine all over again. He watches Jimmy Kimmel and he doesn't even laugh at it. He just stares at it. And then he just goes home, wakes up the next day, and goes about his day all over again. That's how the book wants you to define an odd person.
But
what a self-righteous take.
You're just a schlub.
It is, but I understand what they're trying to put down. What an autumn person truly is, and this is how I would do it. And to be fair, I fucking go my own way. That's actually fun, Changeling. How you do an autumn person is a person who has no form of creativity in their soul, no form of wonder or whimsy, who goes in, day out, and just says, "Yep."
That's a day in the life of an autumn person in studio notes, right there. It's a GIF.
You just wake up every day, and it's just put your little hand in mine. And thank you for that. That's exactly what it is. You took the words out of my mouth.
Hold on, this reminds me. No. Have you guys ever seen those video animatics from the early 2000s of a bunch of gray people and someone with colors just dancing around?
Yes.
That's changing the dream.
Or like the advertisement campaign they did for the Blob too.
For. And here's the thing: whenever creatives do that, it's basically, I'm not like the other girls. I'm not the exact same as all these other people. When in reality, no, you're probably more samey than the people you're criticizing.
It's people saying that they're furry, and then it turns out, oh, your son's just another fucking dog.
Oh, daring today.
Yeah. At least you're not fucking making Tubivore and some shit like that.
No. I'd rather just talk about Gamergate, even though that lasted 11 years ago, and it doesn't fucking matter anymore.
When it comes to odd people, they say that most odd people you come across are just really boring humans that just go about their day, and then if they died, nobody would really notice that they don't really contribute that much to society. You might be thinking, well, wouldn't the Euthantos have an issue with these guys? Well, they're still a cog in a machine. A Euthantos will go after a guy who's just an out-and-out parasite. That it's a guy that you can say, and it's not politically correct to say it, genuinely does deserve their death. They have it coming. That's who an autumn person will go after. But a mundane autumn person, they're still contributing to society, even though their life is never really going to improve, and they're not really going to do anything with their retirement besides just sit around and watch daytime television. It's a guy that they will leave alone. But to a changeling, this is a passive poison, because it's a guy who's just letting his life be dictated by forces that aren't necessarily his. He's just beaten down by the system, letting himself be driven around from place to place. He doesn't really play anymore. When it comes, like, when I say play, I mean like something as simple as a puzzle or a crossword or Um, say like he just has a ball that he'll just like bounce off the wall of his house just to entertain himself, or like a fidget. That's what I mean by that. He doesn't even do that. He doesn't think about what he's going to do in the next 10 years because it doesn't matter. He doesn't really care about his kids anymore because they've moved out. He no longer calls them. He doesn't call his parents anymore if they're still alive. He just keeps to himself and just exists. You're not really living, you're just surviving.
You know, the sad thing is, there's an entire section in this book that tries to justify the usage of this. And in their own words, there's one type of character that falls by the wayside. Humans. That's understandable. Humans aren't as glamorous or powerful as most heroes in the storyteller system. Most heroes in the storyteller system.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Where you can run a mundane game. It's just a lot of people don't want to play as humans when you have these other options.
Tell that to people who love Hunter the Vigil and Hunter games in general.
And
no. People, I got opinions about Hunter people who play those. I got opinions of those type of people. But I'll say this here: at least they treat the honor people just like people who exist in the real world, and don't say they're bad for their own things. They're just boring people.
It's like you don't realize the damage you're doing. Is the thing where, well, I'm gonna get critical about that, but not. Yeah.
This was a one-off idea that they then decided to expand into a book because they thought it was such a cool idea, even though it isn't.
And then with this, it also says, and thank you, book, for saying this, Changeling is not a high-powered game. It was never supposed to be that. These whole cantrips, glamour is hard to come across in this game, but no, you guys want to take trods as your backgrounds. You guys want to spend entire sessions camping in the fucking dreaming and getting all your glamour back and just turning Changeling into a fucking slug. You want to do stupid shit projects in their dreaming that don't matter to the story at hand, and this is why Changeling to Dreaming games don't ever fucking finish, because they always get derailed by this shit.
Yeah, it's just, there's something structurally wrong with Changeling. I've tried looking through it twice, and for all people sometimes have issues with Lost going with the abuse allegory, it's a much easier game to get.
When it comes across as that, but no, you want to take the powers literally, and you just want to play with the powers, and you just want to win the World of Darkness. Greed, you remember how Inna Jenner just quit my game when I started having there be a role requirement for Metamorphosis. And that's the reason why she left. You remember that we had all this back and forth issues with fucking Tim, and how the entire game got fucking derailed because he kept insisting on power gaming with a red cap. As it turns out, if I knew that Primal did that, I would have never allowed it to be taken out across the game at all. I would have never done that.
I mean, it's very. I'll be honest here.
What?
It's a changing game that we ran before he came in. So
I'll summarize it. I played my character with obvious flaws and not perfect on purpose.
Yes.
Tim built his character to be best as possible.
It's to a point where the story got completely derailed and had to be about him all the damn time instead of just the story I actually fucking wrote. Because that Changeling game was made for Archie. That's the reason why I made that Changeling game. But no, you have to go in and you have to win the World of fucking Darkness.
I don't understand that mindset. Yeah, it's everyone's stories kind of collectively going together, because I'm coming at this from Vampire. Inevitably, there will be a couple knives in the back, but you laugh about it 50 years later.
Yeah, that's a thing. Like, me and Rapid are competitive when it comes to Miami by Night, and that's part of the fun of the game. We're not going out of our way to undermine each other out of malice. It's part of the story.
Like, legitimately, I'm in a Sunday game. It's called Jihad by Night because it's going throughout all the ages. I am technically playing double agent since I have two characters. Just due to provenance, I managed to save a one-off character who should have died, and he's now a power player. But they're actively plotting against each other.
And then you look at the same game, and tell me what happened with Jonas. Tell me what happened with Lycan. What happened with those characters?
Lycan's about to have a bad time.
Well, we don't have enough time if we all way into it.
But basically, one of my characters is playing against the others because he's working with, well, the Lasombra and Anakin's character.
Yeah, because it's a story. Like, you're not supposed to win this game. You're supposed to tell a story. It's the reason it's called the storyteller system.
And if that character dies, or alternatively, if my main character dies, so be it.
And
I agree with that. Too many people don't want their characters to die. They get too attached to that. I find that annoying. I get it. You like your
I'd get
character.
bummed. I've been playing them for a while. I've been playing
Yeah.
my main character for a while, but I'd be able to show up next week easily by the end of it.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't be emotionally attached to your characters, because have meaning with your characters. They're supposed to represent something you like to do, or an idea, but how to put it, don't have the DM reinvent the entire story just because they would die naturally within the story. Don't do that.
At least I'd let players know that, oh, this is a lethal session before I begin the game. Then we have the Autumn Fae. Now, you both know what the chrysalis is. It's the process of you going through your first change and becoming a Fae. You get all of your schizophrenic false memories from your changeling past lives. And I'm going to call it like it is, a death of personality happens when that goes through. That's what that is.
I mean, originally, so the thing is, you kind of kill a baby soul. Like, the original way Changeling work is, you kind of commit abortion murder on the original soul and hijack the body.
Yes. That's the first
time.
The reason why the Fianna fell through with the Changelings in Wraith the Apocalypse was because the Unseelie Court kept taking their kinfolk and overriding them to become Changelings. As it turns out, when you do that, it doesn't just stop the first change. It kills the changing seed in the person. You do not pass that on with your kids. It overrode them. The Fianna said, could you please stop this? And the Unseelie Court decided to shred their entire contract when they were just asked that. That's the reason why.
Yes.
Which is another... That's another big questionable decision for Changelings, in my opinion.
Well, the whole thing with Changelings is that these were prickly bastards that you just couldn't reason with.
Yes, because guess what? They work off, I forget the term, but orange-blue morality. Their morality isn't the same as humans. Fundamentally, they were never human to begin with.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a hard sell to go, so anyway, after you possess this baby and kill its soul,
and that's
a bit of a hard sell, that.
Because what happens here. But how to put this here? Changelings, to get into the changing thing here, originally take a human, kick a human soul out of reincarnation and take its place.
That's how you do it.
That's how changelings
you kick it back into the reincarnation cycle, but you technically did just deny human life in the process of doing so. This is what I mean by saying that the Changelings and the True Fae are really fucking selfish bastards that want you to care about them and want you to cry for them, while not giving a rat's ass about what you think and what you feel. You wonder why the vampires tell you do not get involved with the Fae. You wonder why the Fianna only ever talk with the Seelie Court, and that's a tense relationship. Why the Shadow Lords are talking with the Unseelie, but they are planning on undermining and taking over the Unseelie Court, and every other werewolf tribe wants nothing to do with these guys. Even the Uktena, they love the Nuninhi, but even so, they know they can only do so much with them before the Nuninhi get selfish. That's the thing with the changing to dreaming. And this is what genuinely bothers me with this, where you want to say that humanity is this whole enemy that's going to go off on its own and destroy the world unless you're guiding it, while you are still undermining and interrupting and derailing human lives in the process.
That makes the resplendent cranes look restrained, and those are Neo-Confucian, like the worst iteration of a resplendent crane.
At least there is...
Millions can die.
At least...
Millions will die.
The resplendent cranes plan...
Only one side of Changeling.
You're saying?
Well, that's the... Well, I was about to say, well, that's the Unseelie Court. The Seelie Court actually gives to the world. The Unseelie Court are just dickheads.
They claim to.
But even then, the Seelie Court was the same thing the Garnation does. Now, when it comes to these kind of changes, with Wraith the Apocalypse, I know that the Garnation and the way it operates is the biggest criticism against the game. But it's a war. The Garnation has to do what it does because all of existence is on the line, not just them. Humanity and everyone else is involved.
Flawed.
It's seen
as flawed, and every tribe gets critics against it.
You have to do what you have to do because you're the only people that can stomach this. And if you don't do it, the worm will erase the board and there will be nothing to do in existence, period. And then the worm will devour itself and there will be nothing. But with Changeling, The main plot of Changeling to Dreaming is entirely self-serving. Every big battle in Changeling to Dreaming's lore is long over by the time that Dark Ages comes around. The Fomorians are locked behind a wall in reality, and they can never truly interact with humanity ever again. That barrier is forever. And those who are eternal will stay there in Arcadia forever, making sure it's up. So every single conflict involving Changeling to Dreaming, it's just it only ever serves them. Changelings only self-perpetuate. There is no true greater goal here because the Sealy Court refuses to move on and let go of humanity that no longer needs them. And the Unseelie Court just wishes to complete human domination because Lord Ailil couldn't let go of that reign of that he was denied. And that's the reason why. That's the reason why this game exists. And it sticks in my craw, and I cannot get past it because Changelings, just by definition, no matter how nice you are to that kid or to that artist or how much glamour you're generating, you only exist to perpetuate yourself. And your own existence came at the cost of somebody.
No, you are correct in that analogy because I'm legitimately thinking about all the times through changing lore, and it's only done to self-serve. Yes, it helps the world, but it's originally saying, help us.
No, you're right, because I'm thinking about it, and it's telling that the vampires, which are seen as selfish because they secretly want to kind of dominate and guide humanity, they are still more than capable of kind of working beyond that, because there's Golconda as a path, or in the case of the Sabbat, because if you want to interpret them that way, they seek to free humanity from the machinations of the Elder so they can rule it as tyrants, but it also frees all the other kindred.
And that's the thing, where if
vampires are being less selfish than you, that's a fucking problem.
And keep in mind, if the vampire dies, there's no heaven, there's no hell, there's no reincarnation. You just cease to exist upon final death. It's over.
Unless you're lucky and on a path of Golconda, but that's like up to the storyteller.
Unless you're on Golconda or unless you're Giovanni with certain rights. And that's it. But there's a reason for vampires to fight as hard as they do because that's it if they die.
And they're still more selfless because, yeah, coteries come and go, but if you trust a guy for like 100 years, you probably can trust them for another 100.
And that's because the Resplendent Crane plan would work if it went off. But there's groups of fucking like fallen demons that are called the Reconcilers that have humanity at heart. Even if the fucking Luciferians took over, they still are fighting for a goal that they believed would work. And depending on who you asked in World of Darkness, and even above table in the meta, some of them actually do agree with Lucifer's plan. It's a little alarming.
Hell, even the Black Spiral Dancers are more in the right because their concept is to just flip the table. Like, the world's rotting, just flip the fucking table and see what happens after.
And this is what bothers me with the other people.
That's sort of different, though.
Because it's what bothers me with Changeling to Dreaming, where you have the Autumn people as your main antagonist. This is just an average Joe who just wants to go about the rest of his day and he's not bothering anybody, and this is the main antagonist.
It's just normies get out
But well, granted, there's a more evil version, but
yeah, the Dauntain. We're about to go to them, but I'll give you this here. They should have made the book about the Dauntain and not the normal people. They should have just kept it to the Dauntain.
But before we went off the rails, so back to like the chrysalis with the Autumn Fae. This is a guy who was going through the chrysalis, but it just stopped. Just halfway through, it just stopped. The memories never reached them. It never went off. They just went about their day as usual, not knowing who they reincarnated as. Technically, it's the changing soul got stuck in their throat, so to speak. And
oh, here's a lovely moment. Any encounter with the mundanes can bring the possibility of adventure. Freaking the mundanes,
yes,
is always a delightful way to spend an afternoon. What a bunch of souls.
And you get this soul stuck in your throat.
I like this edition. I don't know where I read this from, but I like this idea of how the Dauntain came to be. The Dauntain, because you have to remember here, for the longest time, for the beginning of the Changeling, they lived fundamentally with the mindset of a human. You immediately get hit the full mindset and the experience of a fairy. And a Dauntain saw that and got scared and tried to run away.
Well, because Greed doesn't want to talk about the Autumn Fae, let's just go ahead and skip to the Dauntain then.
I mean, the only options were Karen. Hey, dude, can I sit on your couch and smoke a doobie? And Karen. So there's not really much to go on from there.
No. Johnny, be honest with me. Do you want to talk about autumn people anymore?
Well, it's because on Faye, when it comes to her character, it's someone that goes through the chrysalis, has these powers, but they don't realize they're using them. And this kind of works as an antagonist because if you want to go with Changeling and you want to say that Changeling's on the right, this is somebody that you just need to give like a little tap to and help them reawaken their powers. Where it's that episode of Fairly Odd Parents with like Flappy Bob, like the clown who became a businessman, and you have to help the guy remember that he was a clown and that this is like he was destined to be a clown. You can go for that kind of plot. If you don't take Changeling super seriously, I have no real issue with Faye when it comes to that.
Especially since they even highlight that these are entirely designed to be strawmen.
Yes.
For fun, wacky adventures.
Because you have template villains like
you got overprotective, Tiger Mom.
Yeah.
You got the restrictive librarian.
Yes. Don't touch my books. This is my store. The minutia maven is.
Yeah, and this is the thing here. Even the straw men to give reasons to, like the overprotective, like the restrictive librarian, just believe certain books are bad influence on kids. None of these people have bad hearts in the moment. They're just people.
Or you could, if you want to do the Autumn Faye idea,
where
she was a writer at one point, and then the chrysalis failed.
And then
dreams stopped.
And then she just kind of petered out after that. Like if you're wanting to have a really silly kind of goofy changing game, if you don't want to take it too seriously, if you run Changing to Dreaming in a bubble and you do not incorporate anything else with World of Darkness, you just run Changing as is, this is just like your cartoon episode villain, so to speak. Like the minutia maven, who's this fucking weirdo who thinks that the best thing in her life is collecting pennies that she sees on the sidewalk, and that's all that life could ever be. And
yeah, it's like how you would do a Pentex campaign. Adam, we are talking about this briefly for a moment here. Running Pentex, how you're supposed to run Pentex as a villain, you couldn't do, but you could run a Pentex campaign as a Saturday morning villain. That's fun.
Say that, but the trick with Pentex is you treat it like most science fiction megacorporations, where the hands do not know what the other hands are doing.
It's so far spread that everything is starting to screech. Because the reason why
legitimately, if you wanted to, here's a really funny idea.
Yeah.
You're part of a Pentex troubleshooter division because you actually run municipal parks, which are supposedly to help with its environmental images.
Yeah.
In reality, it's a rallying ground to find kinfolk or something. And then you find out that, another one of your branches is rotten to the core because they're dumping waste. You could do some weird shit with Pentex.
Mm-hmm. It's because after all, the reason why the worm hasn't won already is part of its urination, but there is so much infighting with the worm that until
the Hydra has too many heads.
Until consumption comes back into the world, Defiler and Calamity will never start Apocalypse. And your other template for the Autumn Fae is the Crashing Boar, who's your stoner, loser, teenage brother who just sits on the couch all day and smokes weed, and that's all he thinks life can be. Just fix to fix. And then you have the Suit, who says, I have a 401k, and that's all my life values. The entire value of my life just comes down to my job, and that's it. Where the concept of corporate loyalty has always just been the stupidest fucking shit to me. You realize that you are replaceable.
So dumb.
That any company can and will fire you for whatever stupid reason and immediately replace you with anyone else.
I hate corporate loyalty because it's such a blind bullshit.
Because what I mean with
Please, leave the billion-dollar corporation alone.
When it comes to your mental state, if you put all of your value in on just your job, where is your value going to go when that job ends? Because it is going to end. You can't work it forever.
Like, for example, I'm going to give this as an example here to talk about real world here. When I was at some point, 2 years ago, looking for a job, I signed up with a corporation, blah, blah, blah. They're the people that said, hey, the government's giving us money to give phones to people who can't afford phones, regardless. We had this morning mantra of, here's this guy that did great. Everyone does great. You get in at morning, you leave at night. Everything's great. it just gets that on repeat, and I just sat there and going like, no, I'm not going to just follow the corporate family. That shit's retarded. I have my own existence. I do this for a job. Stop trying to sell me a family. This ain't a
My
family.
favorite is the Walmart affirmation anthem. There's also the IBM. There's also the IBM business anthem, which is also really fucking dystopian and horrifying.
Yeah.
Adam, you just gave me real life banality. Never say that shit again.
But along with that too, it's not just your job too, but it's also relationships where if you put all of your self-worth on a marriage, for example, or if you're a parent, your relationship with your kids decides your entire self-worth, or your entire relationship with a friend, or just being popular, you can't please everybody, and you're going to have moments in any sort of relationship where you have moments where it will get rocky, or it could just out and out ends. Like your wife divorces you, your kid doesn't like you anymore, and goes off on his own. You never see him again. Well, you're going to collapse as a person when those relationships end. What you have to do is you have to find value in yourself first and foremost, and decide what's above materialism, or just one relationship, or just one thing to define what you mean as a person. That's
Or alternatively, what you could do is pledge yourself to international business machines and sing the corporate anthem, "Hail to the IBM,"
well,
and break yourself on the wheel of the machine.
Well, there's your Changing to Dreaming game, everybody. Get this guy to quit his job at IBM and find something that makes him happy.
Yeah, because seriously, they actually have a corporate anthem. It exists, and it was something you had to sing until I think the 80s. It was actually like mandatory.
And now we go into the real killers of this game, the Dauntain. Now we finally have some actual stakes here, because it didn't sit well with me with it being average humans and Faye being your antagonist. But here with the Dauntain, now we're going with a more interesting idea.
Oh wow, they only wasted half a book to get here.
Because the Thalane, like I said before at the start of this episode, never fucking come up. There was no reason to have the Thalane. And with the Dauntain existing, it kind of feels like the Thalane are irrelevant in all honesty with the Dauntain. But
it's because they weren't talking to each other. They probably had an idea, but the person left before they could really crystallize it.
Now, picture this because of that rant I said before about your changeling soul killing your human soul. Now, imagine that's happening to you and you become aware of it. You start getting all these different memories from a life that you never lived, of a world that just doesn't exist anymore. You realize what's happening to you, and you, through your own force of will, stop it before it finishes. But you're changed afterwards. You're now looking at things that aren't real. You're looking at funny people on the side of the road that don't look like humans, the buildings that aren't supposed to be there, the sky is pink, the grass is red, and what you thought was real isn't real anymore. You had a moment with the Cave of Pythagoras, where you've realized that the shadow puppets aren't real, that there's a fire behind you, and a person with hands is making the puppets. And your entire worldview breaks after that happens. This is an interesting antagonist. This is something I find interesting, because it's an avenue that I wish Werewolf the Apocalypse did. Where you had people that went through the first change and rebelled against the Garrow Nation. That would have been a fantastic antagonist. But no,
especially since it could play around with Samuel Haight's own issues with the Nation. And you Kinfolk are also treated like shit.
You could have had a third group of Ronin. You could have done that. But
I mean, we already
that actually plays with Valkenburg Foundation, because the entire point of that was it was to heal those who refused the first change, the moon lunacy.
Yes. But greed, it's here.
But there is one other thing. There's another type of Dauntain. I just wanted to bring it up. The second one is what you mentioned. The first is those who basically realized what changelings are.
Yeah,
which are parasites, and said, "Fuck that."
Greed, you had an idea?
No, I was about to say, we covered the three types of Dauntain. The ones that saw fairy life, ran away. We saw ones who have completed, and we saw ones that saw changelings as a problem to society.
Yeah, as the types from Gun to the Lion. The first one is called the Lost, which just denies being a changeling. You don't want to be a changeling. You don't want to do fairy shit. You don't want to go to Neverland and play with Peter Pan and the Lost Boys and whatever kind of image you want to get from that. And you definitely don't want to go to Neverland. You want to stay in the world you know that you figured out. You had a plan for yourself as to how you're going to fit in it. And now there's these memories and all these different funny looking people that tell you, no, you're not supposed to live that life. You're supposed to let us whisk you away to fairyland and you start their system all over again. You don't want that. So you become a lost and you fight against it and rebel against it, and you just want to tell these fairies, leave me the hell alone so I can just go about my 9 to 5.
That's fucked, because here's the awful thing because of this. By framing it like that and the way they explain this, you just made these guys more interesting than your mainline splat.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Think of it like this. This is the equivalent of being predispositioned to be a fucking idiot, to be a wastrel and loser, and you crawl yourself out of the hood. You crawl yourself out of that muck, that mire, that shit.
Yes.
You get out of the hood culture, and then all of a sudden, just when I thought I got my way out, these fuckers try to bring me back.
And you go through this whole loop.
Like you got these Peter Pan syndrome motherfuckers trying to ruin your life.
Well, in that case, may I recommend changing the Lost for you in Chronicles?
It's almost like that. There's a reason they actually went that route, because it's a lot more interesting than what they did with here.
Yeah, I don't like how bleak and nihilistic changing the Lost gets, but you know what? I'm
My favorite part was when they had the Predator work on the Beast book that said that they were besties.
That book's sucked dick.
I will make this very clear. I made my statement very clear on why I don't want to change the laws. It's an abuse survivor, the fantasy survivor, the fantasy game, and I don't care for that at all.
It is.
It's interesting in the sense that you're basically slowly falling into insanity. It's almost like an Innsmouth scenario. It's fascinating in that regard.
It works as an allegorical kind of game. If you want to go for
it's very allegorical. What do you mean allegorical? It doesn't hide it.
Well, no, it's...
I mean, think about it like this. Only in Changeling the Lost can your character background be, one moment I was sorting hats with a chimpanzee that was talking to me. Then the chimpanzee had a mental breakdown, ripped its teeth out, and then was turned into a rug. I decided I did not want to become a haberdasher that day, and so I ran.
It's changing and dreaming, but changing the Lost can be an allegory for... You have a terminal mental illness that will result in your death, and you try to manage it.
You could go that way.
Yeah.
It could also again just be the case of if you've ever seen the film Phenomenon. It could just be you're given this infinite cosmic power and you're about to go home to your people again.
Mm-hmm. Next is the Cursed.
Here's another fun one.
Yeah.
The butterfly who dreamed that he was a man. You actually are a changeling, but you think you're a man because you decided to live among them too long.
Mm-hmm. You choose...
That's another way.
That's a very interesting idea. No, that's an interesting idea for a villain Lost character. He truly believes he is dreaming at the moment, and he's trying to wake up. And by waking up, he's trying to destroy the dreaming.
Oh, well, we have a character that is that, but let's... spoiler. We have the Cursed next. Now, this is awesome to me. This is a guy who went through the chrysalis and stopped it. And then decided, instead of just denying these funny people that want to direct me off to dreaming, I'm going to kill them. And he becomes a serial killer who specifically targets fairies, hunts them down, and kills them. But here's the thing. They have a passive power where if they say they will do something or I'm going to do something, they become dedicated to that one thing until it is accomplished. So when they say, I'm going to kill blah, 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 they will dedicate every single waking hour, all the resources, everything they can, to forming multiple plans to hunt down and kill that one kith.
Wait, I have an idea. To the vampire players that may hear this here, is basically saying, I want to give myself blood bond to a concept.
It is...
Kinda yeah, kinda not. It's more like if you ever actually tried to play a gargoyle before they broke their conditioning.
It is,
or a blood brother, actually.
If I can compare this to movies, if we're doing that, if you've seen It Follows, that was at the back of my mind as I was reading this section. And
shit! Let me get images for these things, since these things are actually the cool part.
Because It Follows is a genuinely fucking freaky film, and I really do like.
I'm surprised they bothered
song.
to save the best. I mean, they saved the best for last, but this is in the back of the book.
Next up is the Black Magician, which is exactly the same fucking thing as the Cursed, but you go from it from an exorcist point of view. You find out that there are banal arts they can use, and you study these, and you decide that you want to be a magician of all that is drab and boring and nihilistic and depressive. You're an emo wizard who goes around and makes other people emo with his magic. And
basically, this is the equivalent of the race grifters that are like, it's all these people that are keeping us down. We're eternally losers because I need you to be losers so that I can profit off of you.
We will
we're
not
kept
have
down by these guys.
We will not have racial equality until I own a fifth property. That kind of shit.
Oh yeah, I cropped it. There you go.
I mean, they're interesting in the sense that they're essentially undoing themselves in the process.
Yeah, there he is. For the fucking Black Magician. You can smell this man, by the way, just on the way he looks.
This is the type of dude who, just because he knows the right guy, won like 5 industry awards that were not earned at all, and he somehow is a bestseller despite how no one buys it, and then you find out that he bought it through his own company so that he could be a bestseller.
So you just described everybody who publishes books to Draft RPG.
Yeah.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Next up,
if you're curious, if you ever want to make your own RPG book, you only need to sell like I think maybe 50, and you'll make it in the top 50.
You need to sell 2 copies to become a bronze seller. Like no exaggeration.
Maybe 10. Maybe let's be fair. Maybe 10.
Next up is the Nihilist, where once again a more interesting direction. You have the chrysalis and it completes, and you start seeing that, oh, there was this magical fairy world where there were rainbows and unicorns and magic was more important than science, and then you read the end of the story and it's gone, or the words that you stick with, and you
Why do you seek to destroy the dreaming? Because I've seen the ending and it's not very fun.
It's that you know that the shattering happened, you know that you've been living in the interregnum, and that the occurrence war, like anything you had, if you were going to be a commoner, went up in smoke. And you know if you're a she, everybody hates your guts. And you think to yourself,
yep.
if all of this is going to fade away and winter's going to come around, then what's the point of me having these powers that I can't use? And
rather than going the positive nihilist route, these guys are just like, no, there's no point.
Yeah.
I will be honest here. We all seen the Hollow Ones. Not the Hollow Ones. Yeah, the Hollow Ones. These things are the Hollow Ones, but actually that's a point.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because that's only 2 pages long.
I mean, the Hollow Ones book and Mage should have been 2 pages long. It should have been it.
Yeah.
But I like that as a character because I'll be real with you. There's been multiple points where I've had that kind of point of view with the Nihilist. That
no, I'm not saying the idea of the point of what's the point. Sorry, I'm not saying the idea of a character whose entire idea is what's the point. But
well, it's because you know what I mean. I've been there multiple times throughout my life, so that's why. Like,
and the negative nihilist path is one of them. An interesting take would be the banal positive variant, where you basically go, look, I know that I'm about to wake up, either because I undo myself or because people kill me. I'm just gonna go and see what happens after this.
Well, that's the apostate, which is the next one. That's
someone actually said this example here. Nothing matters, sad face. Nothing matters, happy face.
The next guy is
because as Nietzsche once said, you take control of the life you're given. You make it what you yourself can get out of it.
Next guy is the apostate, who is basically a changeling jihadi, or we might as well just call him what he is, a public shooter in the making, that is out to massacre as many Kith as possible, because he also believes that this is not their world, and the only way to send them back is to reverse isekai them and throw them back into the Arcadia by killing them. This is supposed to be a...
This is that one guy who took ayahuasca and drowned himself in Thailand.
Yeah, this is a entirely human world for human things and human society. There is a entire Arcadia out there that's awesome. No one ever dies there, and it's a fairy tale where everything always has a happy ending. Why are you interacting with human society when Arcadia exists and you can go to it? Get out of my world, go back over into Arcadia, and I will follow you after I massacre all of you. That's the plot. That's the plot.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
I mean, this is basically Victor Zsasz from Batman.
Yeah, and that's the apostate right there. He doesn't wear shoes. See, fucking.
Are you sure this is not a Malkavian disguising themselves as an apostate?
Well, you know that would work too. That would also work as for Malkavian anti-tribu.
Like, no. Malkavian's entire character arc saying, I would like to free the fairies. The DM says, how? I kill them. Oh.
No, you don't even say that. You simply pull out your double-barreled shotgun and then, just, where is it? Oh, they got rid of it. Oh, unfortunate.
Bro, I just realized, so Satoshi Kon's TV anime Paranoia Agent, the main villain is this.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly this. It's an apostate.
A girl lies about a boy who, I'm not going to spoil anything else.
But essentially you create your own monster, and it was an apostate. And the whole thing is up on YouTube, by the way.
It's great.
The whole thing is on YouTube. This is an anime that I recommend to people that don't watch anime.
And if you're about to fall asleep, just listen to the intro and it'll wake your ass up.
And last one you have is the Typhoids, who are Dauntain, who just used their powers without knowing. They didn't even recognize the chrysalis was happening. They just thought, oh, I just had like a fever dream. Like I had a 103-degree fever, or I was on drugs, and that's what the chrysalis was. And they don't realize.
Effectively, it's usually because other supernaturals fuck with them on accident.
Like you were a ghoul, and you were already ghouled by a vampire, and then you went through a chrysalis, or you were attacked by an unseelie court member or their chimera that was trying to rhapsody you, but instead you went through a chrysalis as they were doing it, and then the process stopped. And now you have no idea the pain that you're causing the Kith, but you're doing it, and you're just walking around poisoning them, and you just go about your day as usual.
I'm just envisioning a failed awakening scenario. Like, you're about to ascend as a mage, you're about to wake from the sleep, and then all of a sudden the drugs start kicking in.
And how you gain glamour and banality as a Dauntain, you don't. You don't gain glamour. Instead, you have to, for a dreamer, you have to tell them to their face that their shit sucks and nobody likes it, and then you get a single point of glamour for telling them that. Or, if you wish to harvest banality from somebody, it's called tedium, how you do this. Where you, instead of making them feel hopeless about themselves, you make them feel hopeless about the world around them. And the more depressed you make people, the more banality that you will get for your powers. Where
is this just the writers complaining about people who criticize their work?
Well, Adam, I'm not going to tell you that's a bad idea, because that is when you have a guy that just walks up to you and just says this shit to you on the street, it's just some crazy asshole, right? Like, you're not going to take him seriously. But if this is somebody that you thought you were friends with, and they just out and out told you to your face that your art was shit, or like what you made was shit, and just shut you down like that, that cuts you. Or even worse, if it's someone who starts slowly putting those thoughts in your mind, and then you start thinking that about yourself. Where, like I said before, if someone says this to you on the street, they're insane. But if it comes from yourself, you automatically interpret it as the voice of reason. And this is someplace where I have been a few times in my life, and I probably still am, where I was diagnosed with this. I don't want to go like rant like this, but I'm going to say it for context. I was confirmed to have OCD, and I will have periods where I will go into obsessive detail over stuff that really doesn't matter that much. But if it's not perfect to me in the way I interpret it, it really bothers me to the point where it starts destroying my self-esteem and my self-worth. Where it's stuff that I know I do, and I can recognize when it's happening, and I tell myself that I need to stop it, but it's not going to stop me from thinking it. It doesn't stop the thought from popping up every once in a while. And I've had people in my life that have recognized that this is something that I do, and have tried to convince me that I'm either fucking insane, or I'm paranoid, or have tried taking advantage of me in some sort of way because I have this and they recognize the symptoms before I do. And because of that, the story of the Viper and the farmer became an important life lesson to me where it's a whole story of like a farmer brings the snake into his house that was freezing to death in the winter, keeps it warm at a fire, revives the snake, and then the snake bites him. And the last thought the farmer has is, "Oh, fool that I was for showing such kindness to a thing that only wanted to hurt me." And when you have moments like that, it does cut you. It does stick with you for a while, especially when it's somebody that you thought you could look up to, and it turns out they were. Not only were they not that person, but they never were that person to begin with. And with that as an antagonist, this is why I thought the Autumn Fae was a terrible idea, but the Dauntain were a fantastic idea. In all honesty, with
I mean,
you.
they work a hell of a lot better than just Autumn people in general.
Yeah, where it's active parasites in your life that just want to tear you down for their own satisfaction. And I know.
Legitimately here, because the sorry, go on.
Well, no, you say what you're going to say because I'm about to say something else.
I was going to say, yeah, the Autumn people are legitimately, not being honest as direct as possible from the rule book, damaged fairies. Their mind and psyche are damaged, and this is how they exist with it.
Because they're not just going after fairies; they're going after other people in the street as well.
Yeah, it makes them more active as an antagonist force, and also the way you could always interpret it. And I'm not. I mean, they went through the same thing you did. They saw reality as it was, at least according to what little you can glean from it, and they don't like it. They don't like they intrinsically hate what you see, and want to destroy it.
And instead of just trying to contribute to life, you just go through it as a zombie, where you contribute nothing, you just tear people down. This is the same group of people that the Euthantos fight against. This is a shared antagonist with the Euthantos and Mage.
Yeah, it gives them actually something to crossplay with.
And if you were to have me as a player in a Changeling game, and you had an Autumn Fae or just a mundane Autumn person in front of me, I would not engage with them at all because, me personally, this is just a guy who wants to go about his life. Just leave him alone. Just let him go about his day. If this satisfies him, sure, there's other things out there, but who am I to really go in and forcibly change somebody to reflect my worldview? Because
I thank you for allowing me to talk about my stamp collection. Have a nice day.
Because it's honestly poisonous to me to think that you are entitled or you have the capability to fix somebody because they have something about them that you personally don't like about them. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not your scope of responsibility to do that. It's not anything that you feel like you should have to do, because if they're not hurting anybody doing this, just leave them be. You know, some people just like Sword Art Online. Some people just find personal value in Dragon Ball Z, and like that's who they are, and it's not anything for you to go in and try to tear somebody down for.
And here's the thing: things that hurt Fae as banal, like the Changelings as banal, to them that might actually give them glamour because it's enjoyable for them.
It could.
Even if it's something as annoying as reading tax law for fun.
Where you could say that I do something banal for fun because I read the news a lot. I spend there's some days where I've spent 2 hours reading the news alone. And you could say that it's a banal thing for me to do that, but no, I like doing it. I like keeping up to date with current events. I like knowing about economics and politics, and that's just something that I like doing.
Or how people try to spin things and lie to your face.
Where I feel like
it's basically all the news.
I feel like it's important for you to stay informed. I feel like being an informed citizen is a virtue, and that's something that you should strive to be.
Yeah, instead of crashing out at the DMV, like, imagine it more like this. You now have the freedom to go farther in one day than you would on foot or on fucking bicycle.
Just think back to when you were a teenager and you got behind a car for the first time, and just what that felt like. Just how magical that feels in the moment that you realize that I am now entering adult life, and one of the good parts about adult life. I did not enjoy being a teenager at all. I did not enjoy that.
Also, here's another thing that these idiots seem to forget. Sorry, I'm just going to very quickly.
Yeah, say it.
Children actually have a more regimented and banal life than adults because they don't have choices. They can't make those choices. People make it for them.
And because you said that, that's why I felt like when I was a kid. Like when I was 9 and 10 years old, that's where I started figuring out life was for me. And then I fucking hated school when I went to middle school.
Oh yeah, I know what's too.
And then when I was a teenager, I really did not enjoy living. But now as an adult, I am happier as an adult than I ever was when I was a kid or as a teenager, and I would not trade this in for anything.
Yeah, it may be harder to
Some
farm
people,
dopamine
be
as an
honest,
adult.
Yeah.
It may be harder to farm it as an adult because your brain meat has less experiences that are new.
Yeah.
But all the freedom you have by comparison. Yeah, you're obligated based on people around you in life, but you don't have to waste it on other things. You can do
No.
It is your life. Take control of it. You have what you have.
The things I noticed, the things I've noticed with people who say their childhood was better. Now, I'm not saying childhoods weren't better or worse here, but the people I have generally noticed who prefer them being the children than the adults, it's not the idea of freedom, it's the idea of lack of responsibility.
That's what it is, and I can never form a relationship with those people. I can never see you as an equal to me. If I don't see you on some sort of common ground or equal footing with me, I will never form a relationship with you. That's what I mean. And
So yeah, the autumn people thing doesn't make sense, but the Dauntain, it's an interesting take on you're faced with you could also treat it as changelings are the war for responsibility. Like it's that willingness for freedom versus responsibility, which I think is a better way to explain it.
Oh yes.
These are the ones that hate the fact that they have to balance it at all. They don't want that.
When it comes to stories that impact you as a person and stick with you for the rest of your life, something that's going to stick with me until the day I die is Cat Lady. The game that was made on PC, where you play as a depressed British woman who is cursed with eternal life and has to kill 5 parasites in order to break the curse on herself. And it's a very bleak and dour game where if you're a fan of stuff that's not quite emo, not quite goth, but it's kind of like in the same vein as it, that's a game that would be right up your alley. But after
not quite goth.
It has a style. It's similar to something like a Tim Burton style.
Yeah, the music it uses, where it's like the graphics look like photographs of real people. They're like sketched over. And,
you know what? I'm interrupting a story. Continue.
But it's one of those where the Dauntain are that to me. These are people that only ever exist just to hurt people. And I'm not justifying vigilante justice saying this, but these are people that we would be in a better place if they were not there with us. And
I see them more along the lines of the film Amadeus with Salieri.
Yes.
The acknowledgement that they are aware. They have faced the reality. It is an ugly one because unlike a normal person, they are bound to different rules now.
Yes.
But rather than deal with it, they either try to swerve away, duck from responsibility, or they see what others are able to do, even if it's hard, and hate that they can do what they can't.
And
so they tear down.
How do I put this here? This is the reason why I call the Dauntain the Nefandi of Changeling. Because the Nefandi, for those who don't know, are mages who surrendered their souls to evil itself. Their souls are permanently inverted. I don't care what anyone says here. No. Once their souls get inverted, there is no changing about it.
There's no fixing it.
You go back to your reincarnation stream. Yeah. Your soul is inverted forever. There is no going back with that. There is nothing. But this is the reason why I said it about these guys, because if it wasn't very clear here, all these guys, yes, they're fundamentally done something wrong or ran away, but they're legitimately flawed. They have to be stopped. They chose to be like this. They didn't try to fix themselves. They didn't try to either go fully back to human or truly go back to faith. They choose to be a problem.
And on top of that, there's one other aspect. They also target more than just the Kithane.
Yes.
They target all sources of glamour.
Even from other people. But,
they're essentially people who can't stand other people being happy. It is these other people are succeeding or these other people are finding joy. How dare they?
And it's something that fucking stings. We're going into a rant as well. Where Something that I get criticized for on my own server for this, but and also it gets leveled to Adam too, is that we're both Kiwi farmers, and there's some people in the server, you know who you are, that are very critical about me doing that. Where they say it's a toxic behavior, you need to stop doing that. Well, I don't go after anyone who doesn't deserve it. If it's a guy who's just cringe, I'll leave that alone. I only
On
ever
top of
A-log.
that,
I,
you
I
just talk shit.
I only A-log people who are actual criminal offenders. And if I can find something that can help get them to face justice, I'd do that. Because I only ever go after Ethan Ralph, JF Garepi, Nick Ricada, and that's it.
My main targets are cluster B head cases, those that have severe signs of narcissism.
Yeah.
As examples, Ethan Ralph is a narcissist to a degree. Darkside Phil was and still is a massive narcissist. The Quartering's a massive narcissist. I hate hubris, and I like to see those people be forced to either continue the lie into misery, like Ricada, or break. Is it healthy? No, that's the spite aspect of my ego. But I don't spend hours on it. It's just some fun shit to talk about.
But if I'm not an obsessive stalker where I joke about it, but under no circumstances am I going to waste my time and money and actually hunt down Ethan Ralph. I'm not going to do that.
I spend maybe like a
Oh,
couple
wait, are
hours
you
at
actually-
most, on and off.
Are we actually what?
Wait, is this referring to the fact that you two just like to watch people suffer?
Schadenfreude is what it's called.
It's Schadenfreude. It's the target of, if you've ever seen comedy where you've seen it in comedy movies. These are a common stock character where you have a jackass that's a jackass, and then they get what's called comeuppance, which makes people laugh.
Yes.
That's that in real life.
You know, I'm not saying that's bad here, but like, really, people actually said that's a bad thing. At the end of the day, I'm able to like, I don't really care about the shit person that's suffering. That's my honest to God take of the entire thing. I don't give a rat's ass about them.
And
I mean, you can turn the other cheek and ignore it, but there's just something enjoyable about watching the equivalent of Sideshow Bob stepping into rakes infinitely and getting angry about it.
where it feels like punishment is due
Yeah,
for
like,
crimes that you couldn't
different.
be prosecuted for, and
Especially since
I'm
that love scene's always... Yeah.
Yeah, I'm indifferent to your guys watching it. I just don't care. I just sit there and listen. I
That's fine.
don't really
But-
care at the end of the day.
Different strokes for different folks.
but we'll link this to Dauntain. The only reason why I went after iDubbbz as hard as I did was because I was a fan of his back in 2017. I loved the Cancer Crew and their content. But to find out that not only was it bullshit, but it had been from the get-go, iDubbbz was never on board with any of that content, and all of his best moments were just his girlfriend and then wife Anissa whispering in his ear. I was livid when I found that out. Where it turns out that...
Oh, you're like me with why I'm not a fan of Christian content, because it's almost all artificial other than Parappa the Rapper and the gameplays.
And that's all it is, where it turns...
And once you learn that, and that the people behind it are, in some ways, more reprehensible, in some cases they were.
Yes. And,
why should I care?
And that's the reason why I got infuriated with iDubbbz. But after iDubbbz basically lost everything, and now he's like fucking starving, eating white tomatoes in Edmonton. Well,
he has to eat crabapple pie.
Yeah, fucking, and then he has to eat a cream pie out of his wife's asshole.
I mean, admittedly, he's eating good now. He's gained weight. I guess he's stress eating because his partner is destroying his reputation by still going after him.
And when that happened, after iDubbbz got what I thought was punishment due, I left iDubbbz alone. I stopped A-logging him entirely. But then, like, very recently...
Same thing with Darkside Phil. After the bankruptcy, I was done with him.
But then after, like, Ding Dong and Julian of Only Plays did the exact same fucking thing.
Oh, that's just biting the hand that feeds you, and it's like, why?
Where they went over and said that...
Like, that's Dauntain behavior.
Yeah,
why?
Yeah, like, Ding Dong and Julian, like, they were a gay couple that worked for Chris O'Neill with Only Plays. And the time that they were on the show was considered a golden age period. There was some genuinely funny content. Ding Dong and Chris were a fantastic comedy duo, and Julian was kind of just there, but he had some moments too. But to find out that at no point was Julian ever truly on board with the project. He was only there just to be Ding Dong's laugh track, basically, was why he was there, and that he drew the thumbnails, but he was never a fan of the bits. He would have moments where he'd crash out in the middle of an episode, and then that would have to be either cut out or he'd have to quickly save it. And that Ding Dong was never on board with the project either, and was just there for a paycheck. And I stood...
The thing that I hate, because that's fine, not liking your work, but you're doing it because you're friends with a guy. The thing I despise about them, though, oh, we didn't really care, but like we should have gotten more merch deals. We should have gotten a better percentage of the merch.
That's what I mean.
Like that. Oh, I don't want the money, but money.
Like
Like,
after
just admit that you're greedy.
You got in Aaron's face about this shit, where I thought that Aaron screwed you over, but it turns out no, everything that went down with you and Dream Daddy, that was just the excuse that was needed to get you the fuck off his dick. That was all it needed. Because with the way that you acted from behind a Grump space and like multiple testimonies about people talking about what you were like behind the scenes, yeah, no fucking wonder why you got fired on your first offense, because nobody wanted to be around you.
And now you're sour because even Ego Raptor is actually getting into the big leagues when you can't even get a normal game out. You can only do furry vor fetish game stuff.
Yeah, when I found out that
fucking God damn it.
Like me and Kyle played a game during the pandemic where we would send cringe pictures to each other where we went deep for that kind of shit.
Oh, Lord.
And to find out that I sent Kyle a picture that Ding Dong unironically paid commission money for and beat it to after he confessed on a live stream that he was the guy that commissioned that. And I found out that you actually were the fucking degenerate that paid a man to have a snake be vored by a tuba. And you want to be like, and you want to get in people's face about this kind of shit. Where
Johnny, I'm going to ask this from the pure bottom of my heart. Please, no more.
But what I'm saying here, that moment, it was the same with iDubbbz all over again, but instead of anger, it just felt like sheer disappointment. I'm not going to say the word heartbreak because I wasn't that invested in knowing plays. But it was you weren't the person I thought you were, and you never were that person. I made this channel, this YouTube channel, this project because of a video Ding Dong made encouraging people to spend 2023 making something they really were passionate about and wanted to do a passion project for. That
Joke's on you. He never even made the game that he claimed he was passionate about.
And I found that out. And I remember I saw that stream and I called Kyle and I said, we need to get a podcast going. And then 6 months later, we made Galliard Group. And
I'm saying this with the pure bottom of my heart. Legitimately. Well, to be fair, I was first came in with Adam's channel with Dice Scum. But legitimately, this is the channel I come to play my games. Yeah, and I really like your game too. And I do say this with the pure bottom of my heart. Those are my really first actual TVRGs I had with people. I was fucking cringe as hell. Adam can verify that.
Yeah. I mean, I will say you're not the worst player I've ever gamed with. That would have to be the dude who did a 5-minute long Gollum impression. But you know, he also said to the DM, "Okay, Papa, please never say that again." Okay, Papa.
But when it came to
Immediately get kicked. No, but I do it.
Oh no. Unfortunately, we had to deal with him for like 2 more sessions. But hey, we live and learn.
But it just find out that Ding Dong was just not that person. He never was that person. It genuinely stung seeing that. It just felt like a piece of me that was there. It didn't rot off or fall off. It just felt lesser than it was before.
It's like finding out. I think it's not really a Dauntain thing. It's more like, imagine this really cool Arun that you've heard legends of, and then you found out the fucker danced the Black Spiral out of just for no reason, and is now just.
It's
never meet your heroes because. How about this here? Sorry if I'm overspeaking you here, but I think there's a term: never meet your heroes.
Yes.
Because everyone's flawed, and it's not saying. And I can accept my hero having having drinks, alcohol, or do something bad, but it's finding out someone that inspires you to do something great that you have come to love, that's become one of your favorite things to do on off times, failed and became that.
Yeah. Where you're now
one of my occasional hosts, Biggs, was a big Rackets fan. He was a big Ricciata fan back in the day.
Oh, I can imagine how much that hurt.
It gutted him to watch him go from family man to
the guy who's getting his dark
broken
cocaine
and trying to deny reality,
fucking blowing galaxy gas up his nose,
broken his
because
galaxy gas.
When you and I think this is my guess again. Never went to psychology, whatever bullshit. The reason why that truly hurts people so much when you see something like that is because when you follow their example, they are basically the seed that started a good idea that's for you, and when it grows to a big thing for you. And you find out the seed turned rotten, it hits the entire tree that grew from your joy.
Because
effectively, yeah.
Because I've been looking for some villains that can really twist the knife when it comes to me running games, and I can do it with the Defandi, but the Defandi you just know out and out is evil. There's no betrayal aspect with the Defandi because of just how obviously evil the Defandi are. But with the Dauntain, now I found the kind of villain that you can do that with.
Because it's a relatable evil. The only one that I think is more again, my favorite Dharma, Thousand Whispers. The next life, they legitimately defile everything you remembered and venerated them for because they need to go on that path.
Yes.
That's another really heart-twisting encounter you can do.
I don't think betrayal is the word, but it feels like it. And that's what you get with the Dauntain. And that's why I think this is one of Changeling's few genuinely fantastic ideas.
Especially since they can infect things with disbelief. All of them can do that, or convert.
And then meanwhile on page 70... What? You were saying something.
No, I was simply going to say here. Also, fun fact: the reason why we've seen the Dauntain can hang and chain and ban out these written areas is because they ran into the human side. They're even more resistant to banality. That's it.
And then on page 70, right after that, you get the fucking Unbroken Circle, which is King David's task force of 15 fairies who are made to kill Dauntain and Autumn people.
They have an anti-normie kill squad.
Yes. And we had a really good idea, we had a really smart idea, and then he wrote something stupid like that.
The normals are causing us too much trouble. Quick, get your chicken tendies in your AKs.
Like just when I was thinking about actually running Change into Dreaming, you put that in there, and then I flipped the book off the table. And
it's amazing to watch them. They get these layups. This is the equivalent of watching a dude get a layup. Like, this is an easy way to pop an audience. And then they fuck it up somehow.
It's like watching...
They accidentally fuck it up.
It's like watching Star Wars Episode 1 and you get to the Darth Maul fight and you're thinking, oh, this is fucking awesome. Look at this choreography. And then we cut to Jar Jar. And then we cut to Anakin. And don't show me this shit. Go back to the fucking lightsabers.
In fairness, that's because there's like too many plot beats at once. My better example, if we're going to go with that route, oh god, like the biggest disappointment I can think of.
The biggest.
I despise this so much. I am the singular. Sorry for interrupting you, Adam. I am the Changeling fan of this server, and this shit just hits me more because they just keep fucking crippling themselves when they start to say it.
Oh, I know. It's like you accidentally banged out something great, like in the Marvel slop lineup. You have Moon Knight that looked like it was gonna do something, and then,
And then they made Captain Marvel.
Why do they keep shooting themselves with the foot suits and heels?
And then you made Guardians of the Galaxy Episode 3.
Which they had to beg James Gunn back for after firing him. Don't worry, he's burning DC to the ground because his ego has apparently become unbound for whatever fucking reason.
You fired Zack Snyder for this.
He unironically made a movie that's worse than anything Zack Snyder made with Supergirl.
So going into... Let's wrap this episode up because we're about to run out of time on this recording. The banality cantrips you have. Well, these are not called arts, they're called agendas, the way that you run this. Where it is how you ruin people's lives in spell form.
Legitimately.
It
will just screw your life.
Like Burnout.
Starting on page 80. You want to ruin something somebody's passionate for? Well, with level 1, we have Mind Block, where you just give somebody a writer block with a simple empathy and manipulation roll. You then go into Heartbind, where you begin to feel a once positive emotion begin to slip away from you as you thought you were enjoying something, but now it's gone. And it can go all the way to Geek Out, where you hate your interest, and you go off and take up something boring like collecting bottle caps off of Coca-Cola bottles that you bought at the gas station. And that's your hobby.
I forget here. One of these powers gives you autism. I'm not even joking. One of these powers gives you autism.
Yeah.
Next one is Stolify, which alters the target's perception of the world. It gaslights you.
I love the first one. It's just giving you nostalgia.
It just nostalgia baits you. It says, hey, you remember Care Bears? Hey, you really want to get the Care Bears again when you're 40? Sounds like a good plan.
Oh.
No. Hey, remember this random cartoon show made by Hanna-Barbera in the '60s? We're doing a live-action remake that we spent $800 million on for no fucking reason.
Imagine the live-action Snagglepuss.
Adam, I know you keep saying no. Adam, I want to make this very clear. I know you keep saying
live-action Jabberjaw fit for Netflix. There's not even a shark. It's just the name of a dude.
Adam, I know you keep saying most modern games and modern take a lot of money, but legitimately, if you look at indies who do that with half the amount of resources in a tiny fraction of the number of people, it's lies. They're just fucking flushing money down the toilet. They're overspending all the damn time.
Well, yeah, Avengers Doomsday is going to cost $1 billion, basically.
I'm reading Stolify, and level 4, it just dead ass gives you autism.
It does.
It does.
It's like that. Unlike the Pokemon Dragalge, which can give you cancer when it mega evolves, these guys just give you autism. Autism beam.
No, Johnny, you read it out. Legitimately read it out, or I'm going to read it out.
Procedural addiction, level 4. The target will examine one activity in such a manner that he must analyze every step of it. Normal activities take twice as long. If the user scores at least 3 successes, the target must recite every step as he performs the task. That role being a... What the fuck is it? I think it's the same... No, perception and leadership. So...
Yeah, this is not very good at describing it. There's also micromanagement, which is similarly funny. This is exactly the same thing, but worse, because the target will create procedures for everything. They will then try to teach these procedures to others.
Oh no!
And then there's like a passive power called Webcraft that just leads you to seeing everybody as lifeless and as humanized, and you see everybody around you as an NPC.
They had 2 really cool ideas, and then they gave up. Like, they got hit with the other one. They got hit with Mind Block.
No. I had an idea for this here. When I read this book, The Dauntain People, I was like, fuck the Dauntain People. Ooh, the Dauntain. I could actually make a very interesting antagonist for this. Not to fight, but just to absolutely ruin your character's fucking game.
Also, one of the funniest things is they have the same Cathane getting, they're about to get bothered by a werewolf and then a vampire. This may have been the author's poorly disguised fetish.
I would love to get mauled to death by a sexy woman who's twice my height.
I fucking hate that shit.
You don't know what gender the werewolf is.
No, I hate that shit. Stop it, Johnny.
He'll be...
I mean, in fairness, you don't know what gender the werewolf is, so I don't know. Maybe she's
it'll
getting
be the
off.
best orgasm and the last orgasm of your life. You can't...
Says you as you date the golf chick.
And then we go into some characters, like some pre-made characters, like lore characters at the back of this book. No one ever reads this, but let's read just one character, just one pre-made character off of this. Let's do the cop. Let's do Lieutenant Karen Croyd. She was...
I do like love the silhouette they give for her.
She's got a creepy face.
I like the choice, yeah.
See, Karen's adventures began when she ran away from home when she was 13, and she was quite capable of taking care of herself. She couldn't see why her parents didn't understand her needs. It didn't help when, during her first night away from home, she had a severe series of soul-searing vivid nightmares which tore away her sanity. The dreams returned every night without fail. She somehow realized that they would just keep coming until she just let them out, so she did. Or rather, she drew them, painted them, and brought them to some form of life on paper, and she discovered that as she drew them, they weakened. She somehow managed to get a job at San Francisco's police department, despite some troublesome developments, and managed to make a niche for herself amongst the street kids. One in particular was a man called Rob. He was witty, always knew the coolest stuff, everything looked like it was going great for Karen, and then the headaches started. They were little, she'd be in the midst of drawing a picture when one struck. Also, without the drawing, which the headaches were interrupting, the nightmares would come back. One night, when recovering from the nightmares, she awoke to see Rob hovering over her, a vicious gleam in his eye and a cruel, twisted smile. She grabbed the nearest heavy item in her hand, a flashlight, and hit him with it repeatedly. He ran away from her, cursing her name into the uncaring night, and it left a chill down her spine. It was until much later when police arrested Karen and turned her over to Children's Services. Getting caught did not do her frame of mind any good, But her shape
little criticism of the Child Protective Services, but yeah, it can be a dumpster fire.
It didn't help that her parents decided that they didn't want her back, so California's Children's Services controlled her fate. Oh, so sorry, she wasn't a cop yet. But only because the police hand her over. She didn't bother to try
I
and
think
run
the
away.
idea of a child cop would be really funny. It's like Doogie Howser, but just she has a piece and has to shoot some fences.
Persona 4. She graduated with honors and moved on to the police academy. Now she's a cop. She wasn't in it to serve and protect, except she was there to protect herself. She was in control of her own destiny and the destiny of those who would bring her nightmares. She never told anybody that she was convinced Rob was bringing her nightmares. She just kept that to herself. The turning point in Karen's life came when she was on her first full day in the force. She spotted Rob in the midst of some obviously illicit business, so she called him to halt. He, of course, didn't. She chased him down, only to have him lash out with the nightmares. There was the last straw for Officer Coyd. She had no desire to be Rob's plaything again. Instead of succumbing, she found her way through the mad visions, threw her way through the nightmares, grabbed him. Her hatred seemed to take on a tangible force. She lost control and attacked him. Each blow like a hammer. He couldn't even fight back.
Which is a cantrip you can do depending on what role you have. Yeah.
And he was comatose. She left him lying in a gutter. When Karen returned to her partner, she told him that the perp had escaped. However, the encounter had done something more to her resolve. She knew she couldn't identify the monsters like Rob, those who would destroy a young girl's mind with their dreams. So she decided to hunt them down and make them pay for their crimes. You have an actual really good example of someone who was done dirty by the City Court and is now a changeling hunter.
And I actually really like that.
It's actually a really good idea.
I like this character.
It's much more interesting than most of the Sealies that they came up with, honestly.
Mm.
And here's another thing. She's a detective. She's a lieutenant, which actually, if you're not aware of how police organizations work, she actually has a lot of power because of that. She essentially has a lot of duties that, if you know how to work with it, let's give some ideas on what a police lieutenant does. Because there's some neat stuff that you get out of it in terms of roles.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And along with it too, she has Webcraft 4 as her agenda.
Also fucking Tonfa. But yeah, one of the things they do is they manage the supervisors, so they cover the patrol officers. They actually determine the beats that cops work. They cover the watch, by the way, so they actually are on board when things happen. And they can direct specialized units, so if you really want... Let's say your changelings are being shitters. You could have Karen legitimately send the SWAT team to kill them.
Yes. And along that too...
And this is California, so that is very likely, because California has a 3 times higher rate of cops just blasting people and fucking killing them.
Willpower 8, by the way.
That's impressive.
Oh, yeah. But put her in front of a Ventruse, and every single dominate check will fail. Oh, man.
Not necessarily.
Well, if it's a neonate,
I really like this character. I really like this character because, she's basically some changeling said, "Fuck it, let's have fun," and fucked with a person and then making a chasing hunter.
She doesn't even know that. She thinks that she ran into a psychic guy that tried to mind assault her.
And that she's on the hunt for them now.
If I remember correctly, yeah, she's the last type of Dauntain, the ones who don't even know their actual things.
No, their first type, Lost.
She's
lost and has no clue.
Yeah, she's unaware of this, but she's on the cusp of figuring it out. But
regardless, here there was something I forget. There was an idea. I forget. This was a story idea. I'll just have to say it here. There was a fucking golf band. A girl was following a golf band. They were a bunch of changelings. The lead band singer dreamed of all her ravishing, basically destroyed her artistry soul. She later figured out what he was, took a cold dagger, permanently killed him, because cold iron is the only way you can permanently kill a fairy.
Yeah.
And she became a fairy hunter.
I'm just envisioning because of the imaginary friends angle, I'm imagining one guising itself as a real person because you threw me away and now I want to replace you and live a real life as a person.
You say, if you really took Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends seriously, you could do some crazy shit.
But, oh, yeah.
Not reality. Just so deviant. Half those monsters should have been horny.
And... that's a different show. And that's it for Dauntain, people. We're not reading this anymore. Posting the book. We're done. This was the book that should have been fucking Kino, but
and the back half almost was.
Yeah, because the Dauntain section was fucking-tastic, but you didn't do enough with the banal cantrips because there's a whopping 3. And
this is the opposite of Henga Yokai. Most of the book sucks until this section comes in.
That C20 added nothing to banal arts, by the way.
Why?
0, nothing. The chimeras have more powers than the Dauntain do.
Why? This is clearly the better option for this would have been perfect for an autumn court.
Yes.
This is much better. What the fuck?
It's a better idea, but no. Instead, the fucking Thaling come back and continue to do nothing.
If they did stuff with the Thaling, maybe I'd care, but this is much more interesting.
It is.
Yeah, that's the thing here. I like the idea of the Thaling. I like the idea of you fighting the legitimate embodiments of the nightmares and fears of everything that can dream, but they do fucking nothing with that.
The fucking Thaling to do nothing. And people keep asking me to server 2, when are you going to do a video on the Hussein? When the Hussein become fucking relevant is when I'm going to do a video on them.
You know things are fucked when the Stargazers do more than you.
Yes.
What do you mean? Who? Hussein? Are you talking about the Changelings of the East?
Yeah, they don't do anything.
They're there too.
They don't do anything.
They're there too.
You just fucking exist.
Look here. No. I get it. They don't do anything overall meta the narrative, but
it's the same reason why I'm not doing a video on the fucking new Inhi either.
They're such an interesting book. They sit there and do nothing. Okay. Look, I understand. Lao Zi once said the bowl is most useful when empty, but this is not even giving you the bowl. This is just them expecting you to put your fucking hands together like Diogenes demands you would to fucking get the hot rice in it.
And because the first part of this book was just so stupid and just I'm just going to call it like it is. It was just stupid. With saying that the average human is poisoning my fairy self, and because I'm the fairy, I am therefore entitled to do whatever I want to the human because I am the player character. That I say that this is the book that killed Changing and Dreaming.
I don't think it's the book that did. It's just they never understood what they wanted, and the anti-normal take is just terrible.
It's a bad idea. Like because I know something. Because when I tell people about this book on people, when we're talking about Changing and Dreaming, enthusiasm about Changing and Dreaming rapidly deflates after I tell them about this.
I managed to find reestablishments because of the Dauntain, and honestly, the Autumn folk at least are sometimes interesting if you kind of play it like they've just lost their way. You got to bring them back their vivacity in life. You know, just if you play it like that, maybe. The rest of the book can go hang though.
Yeah, it's just Changing Dreaming. What? You're saying something?
Man, I'm a Changeling fan. At least Adam over here dogs on Werewolf, but he's a Werewolf fan.
But
I dogged on Werewolf because I ran into some awful players, and then on top of that, you're lucky I never read Changing Ways. Because if I did, before I read any of the actual good tribe books, I would have bullied the shit out of you for years afterwards. Because the shit they go into in that. You didn't even cover the operation to heckingly wholesome validate your transsexual identity by cutting it off with a dagger. That's in there.
There's a reason why we changed Greed's name in Discord to this. There's a reason for this.
You do not need to describe the 3 paragraphs on how the Geta Fenris determined who's playing the woman in that relationship.
No.
By the way, it is not on size. It is on how many deeds they have done in a flighting. And if you lose the flighting, you bend over. No kissing.
Adam. Please tell me you're joking about 3 paragraphs. Please tell me you're joking.
I'm not!
That's in the book. It's in the book.
They go into detail about the lesbian rights of the Black Furies.
And the gay homosexuals.
And no, I don't mean of the Isle of Lesbos. I know they're Greek, but that's not the island they're talking about.
You know what's called when a bunch of bonars get in that car and fuck? They call it a soup kitchen. Left your little note. Thanks for the shot.
Bonars, more like, here, homeless person, take my aborted baby for me.
Love during Mike and the boys.
Trash,
Wait a minute. Johnny, did you just reference the other guy?
Yes. Yes.
Fuck you.
Like all the clans, all the tribes. It's so annoying. I'm going back to vampire terms.
With this,
If I read that before Werewolf 5th, oh god, I would have become a Dauntain to the guru.
Because yeah, this book.
All I'm gonna say here is very simply, you are lucky because at least there's some good werewolf books. Most of mine for Changeling are shit or nothing.
It's
At least
shit.
Oh, you mean like Demon the Fallen, which only has the core book that's any good?
And the reason why we're not doing any more Demon the Fallen episodes is because Demon was just really boring to read.
You had one book. It's similar to how Hunter only has the same play style.
Well, yeah, they wanted to be Dynasty Warriors.
I tried reading the Creed books. They're fucking worthless.
But we'll try to do. We're going to combine the Creeds into one, into 3 different videos.
Good idea, because it's one book that's been repeated 3 times.
Because at least like the weapon sets are fun.
Yeah.
But
also you can outdo it by just reading the Lucifuge from Hunter the Vigil.
Because
I'm going to be honest here, I don't even read the Creed books for the lore. I just read it for the new abilities and the new mechanics. That's what
They're the same thing. I've literally read them. They're mostly the same fucking move refluffed 3 times.
Because with Changeling Dreaming, this is always going to be the little book that could have and should have, because I thought this was going to be a good game, and so did Kyle.
All that money put into beautiful watercolor, because they use watercolors. They put effort. They put love into the art. They put love into the book design. They have embossed edges. They have really good covers. They put all this effort, and this is what they fucking write. It's basically like a Post-it note.
But it's
yeah. If you couldn't tell from the brief images of the art, the fucking art is fucking 10 out of 10. The art alone, good.
Because as it stands, Wraith the Oblivion is a better game than Changeling Dreaming. Kindred of the East is twice the game Changing could ever be. Mummy the Resurrection and Hunter the Reckoning are better than Changeling Dreaming.
I mean, shit. Just play the Henga Yokai book alone is better.
Yes.
Even with Kitsune. Even with the Kitsune, because if you just retooled them a bit,
no. Adam, I will not let you slander my game this much. No, you stop that right now.
I have come not to bury Changeling, but I've come to suck all of its glamour out. I'm a Dauntain all along, bitch!
And the Rhapsody is now complete.
It was me, Austin!
It's me, Austin.
Look here. No, that's enough. Enough dogging on Changeling. Enough out of you. The episode's over. Enough dogging on Changeling. Fuck out of here, y'all.
Well, I'm just going to stop recording the episode then.
Night.
We've been undone.
Well, thank you 2 gentlemen for coming out, and I will see you, Adam. I'll see you in like a week.
Oh no, we're gonna talk about the Gangrel and his slave compound.
And then Greed, I'm sure you're gonna pop up again sometime soon.
Yeah, fuck you. Also, Adam, I'm gonna be in the fucking live chat. Fuck you.
And we'll continue the blood sport off camera. All right. See you later, Lows and Germs. I'm not seeing the water bit. Fuck off.